Hello, hello. Hey, Shavalton. Happy Monday. Okay, so I have a lot of stuff on this list, and I haven't. I think we need to organize this at some point, maybe in the afternoon. Hey, Chili. Yeah, the weekend was good. Hope your weekend was good too. We did a lot. And I feel like we're going to be doing a lot this coming weekend too. But yeah, I've been thinking about just kind of the sense of feeling overwhelmed and how there are really only two ways of getting through your to-do list. It's either like doing fewer things or dropping fewer things or dropping more things, or it's just uh, well, dropping more things, I guess, or spending more time doing the things. And I think both of these are valuable. Yeah. Anyway, I've been thinking about how much time I spend on work stuff and how we're really the nature of Stuck in a Broken Tutorial is it's like 15 mini projects and none of them are getting completed really. So it just feels like it's going on and on and on. Retired Android, thank you for the resub. Happy 2 years, 1 month. And hey, ABC. Yeah, so I hope everyone's doing well. Let's start with tenants. It's a good way to start the week. Make sure I'm on track for things. So it's June 22nd. The days are now getting shorter here. Well, I feel like they still feel pretty long until September or so. All right, sustainability. I have felt like I wanted to take time off, or maybe just time off from streaming. I think the real problem is that to-do lists are kind of ballooning. I've wanted to make YouTube videos for a long time now, but haven't set aside the time. I think I've just got to start prioritizing better. Yeah. Breaks are still going great. Yeah. Grit. What did we do last week? Hey, Ryan. Good morning. Added a boss, finishing touches, worked on music. Yeah, I think this went well. I was a bit worried about making music since, well, for the top-down shooter, since the first session hadn't gone the greatest. But I'm really pleased with the result. And again, that's another thing that's not finished. Hey, Steven, good morning. Yeah. Yeah, so in general, I think the only issue is this sense of feeling overwhelmed and needing to work through my to-do list a little bit more. And like all this stuff, this is from last week, Friday, Wednesday of last week. I have not filed this stuff and I need to do that. And it just feels like things are getting a little bit out of control. I'm pretty sure that tomorrow I'm going to take the day off of streaming and spend it working on YouTube content. I had something happen recently, so I search for Skeletal every once in a while, and I found this video. Someone was reviewing Revolution Idol, but they also talked about Skeletal briefly, and it was like 30 seconds of them basically saying they're disappointed with the game. And I responded saying like, "Hey, I'm sorry that happened," and you know, it wasn't to make excuses or anything, just to acknowledge that this person made a video really. And they said something like, "Oh, I'd been following the development on Blue Sky," and I hardly ever post to Blue Sky. I have 100 followers. I've made I don't know how many piddly amount of posts, and a lot of them are just like, yeah, that's it. Actually, I just scrolled to the bottom of it. So all of this, I know it seems like a lot maybe, but the thumbnails are making it expand. Oh yeah, it says 35 posts. And I thought, man, if someone was following the development just based on this, like my tiny amount of effort, I should probably put in a little bit more effort into my social media stuff, especially as I'm making a game. So yeah, I think tomorrow is going to just turn into YouTube content. I'll make the localization video. I might work on a devlog. And I want to write down some of this stuff. Skeller reviewers. Hey, Blair. And thanks for the resub. Happy 13 months. I haven't looked at your post yet, but I saw a thumbnail on my phone and it looked pretty good. So devlog for SIBT. Talk about how the scope is going to be tough. It'll still be a linear game. Show off what I've done so far. Talk about Twitch and wanting to make a Steam page. Yeah. And I wrote this, should I be stabilizing after? I'll just write this on the list up here. Thought from Friday. What is that, June 19th, I think? Yeah. Hey, Faceless. Okay, yeah, so start the loot box game. And yeah, I think we are canceling tomorrow's stream. So No stream tomorrow. I want to make YouTube content. All right, I had some ideas for this. Loot boxes, here it is. So I got to plan this out a little bit more. Yeah, I'm canceling myself. Self-cancel. Hey, Mavisackle on YouTube. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Do let me know what the correct pronunciation is, but hi. Loot boxes, is it EU law friendly? These are not loot boxes that you have to spend money for, nor they have a purpose in the game. So yeah, they should be. And yeah, I was thinking of using these icons. But I wonder if we should just have this be in Skeleseller. Like, yeah, let me open this up. Scratch. Okay, so loot box game design. So main questions that I have right now. Does your character have a manifestation in this game? Like, do items have descriptions or tooltips or something? Maybe they all just have names and no descriptions. I'm not sure. 5 streams, nice. Hey, Fallen Lords. And what else? Yeah, how do you leave exactly? Is it just Skeleseller? I had thought about doing that, but I think that's a bad idea. But it would be kind of funny if it's just like, wow, here's all the other games that I released just in a sub game in this one. So one idea that I had for this was that we could reuse parts of Skeleseller for this. Opening treasure chests, having them get sent into the warehouse, and having a portal in the middle of town that you could eventually just leave. Yeah, it is funny. I mean, I think my reasons for not wanting to do this are more that it would balloon the build size than that I'd be giving away a game kind of for free. It would be funny though if people didn't know about Skeleseller. I took it off of Steam, and they're just like, "Whoa, there's like a full game in here." That's great. Then I sell Skeleseller for like $1 or something. So another idea I had is that this game is really just the UI. So like you have some way of opening loot boxes, you have an inventory, and you have some kind of X button at the top that lets you leave for the next game. I like the idea of having it be in the Skeleseller world though. Why is this not working? There we go. Yeah, so do we have a picture of... Yeah, something like this. See, I was picturing is like your treasure chest would be here. You'd have some way of getting treasure chests and then opening them. I don't know what would be happening with the loot that you have, though. Because if it's just an inventory, you collect up infinitely. I mean, we could have... Yeah, there are some pros of doing things this way. There's, yeah. Using Skeleseller. Pros. We have all of the graphics already, and even some animations for this stuff. Cons, I wanted to use Skeleseller somewhere, but not necessarily here, and I don't think I want to use it twice. But I don't have any other ideas for the second time. For a, you know, hypothetical second time. Hey, Phil. First indeed. No one else definitely got first. Certainly not Jeff Alden. It's whoever says it in chat. Hey, Magnus. Happy 22nd. I'm going to get really good at reading binary. We're just memorizing the date. Barely missed out on first. Yeah, Phil just got it. Yeah. Well, then second. Yes, exactly. Hey, Goose. Good day, Mr. Goose. Actually, I just assume Mr. Goose. I don't actually know. Based on your name, I assume it's Mr. Just wait until I switch to Hex. Wonder if Hex would be easier. Probably not. Wait, oh, actually, no, probably, yes, it would be because we're only counting to 31, right? So you only ever have 2 digits. Yeah. This isn't bad. Yeah, this isn't bad. I guess let's go back to the idea itself. Let me read this. So how do you leave the game? I'm concerned that people may expect to be able to use their loot and accidentally discover that they can leave at any time. Maybe there's a close button. Yeah, the other thing I was worried about is that people wouldn't ever leave. How do we nudge people to leave the game? I'm a bit concerned that they'll think the loot boxes are important and get a little too absorbed. Oh yeah. That's right. Twitch name change policies. I guess you could come up with this kind of a clever way of doing it. Maybe you can have 25 characters in a name, and all you really need is 0 or 1 as the first character, and then the other what, I guess like 16 characters for the second digit. So you could have like a Z or an O, and then like you need, I don't know how you do this. Yeah. Because you need to fit in the numbers, and you need some way of just changing the capitalization, which you can't do for numbers. So you need like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. O, P, what am I doing? That's 16. Yeah. And then you capitalize them based on that. Anyway, it could work. It would be annoying. Hey, Carlos. What's the base idea? You're just opening loot boxes? What's the joke? The joke is that there's no point, and that I wonder how many people will open loot boxes if there's no point. So I've got this in the today command. It's kind of a social commentary. So like you can leave at any time. Yeah, I like this idea of like you can click the X and it tries to get you to stay in the game. Yeah. Direct it to a site. .us is a TLD you can use, right? You can make like magan at .us. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm curious how this one's gonna play out. I think it's a funny idea, but it might lead to disappointment. It might lead to, I don't know, a whole bunch of different things could happen here. Make it seem like you should only get 1 loot box. Yeah, so this is really important. Maybe you have to buy the loot boxes. We have treasure chest graphics. Yeah, we could even have chests drop other chests. And didn't we have multiple different treasure chest graphics? And I just didn't use them all? Where do we have here? Okay, well, this is just one. And that's not even the treasure chest that we used. Items? Treasure chest. Aha! So we have how many unique ones really? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These aren't, I mean, I know they're unique sprites, but they don't really look all that different. But yeah, I guess we could have like 8 of these. Honestly, I think this is the route we go. I think this is like the Skeleseller game. I'm leaning more toward doing this in the Skeleseller world. Or at least with those graphics. It could even be that you sell the loot to get more loot boxes. Hey, Pickle. German Cigar Club of all things. Okay, wow. Each item gets an additional random prefix or suffix. Or you're saying like it makes it seem like the items are functional to some extent? I think this all comes into the rest of the world that we end up doing. Chat ideas. Yeah. Sell the loot to the enemies you fight and get loot from in Skeletor. So let's lean more into the Skeletor thing for a little bit. So if we went with Skeletor, I assume you would be opening treasure chests. It would be a slightly different world from Skeletor, so that it's not just like an obvious copy / paste. So I'm just gonna spew some random ideas here. So you start with a chest. You can open it. Do you need a key? Do you need a key? Do you start with a key? I wonder how hard it'd be to play this game with a controller. I think that having to use items from your inventory is probably not fun on a controller. Keep playing, the name of each item you open starts getting absurdly long. That's pretty funny. Developer even stole their name, yeah. This guy's a cheat. So then you get loot. Does anything happen with the loot? We could have skeletons walking around stocking shops. The shops could be off screen. I think it's not satisfying though to have your loot, your like stockpile of loot decrease in size. Maybe you just see an estimated gold value of loot that you have at the top. Maybe it's an actual gold value and you can buy more loot boxes and keys. I think we probably need you to get some kind of currency. They have all your loot fly into a pile that keeps growing. A literal stockpile. Yeah, I think that's interesting too. Hey, Krasner, thank you very much. We're getting this week off to a good start. We got Krasner in at 843. I think that's important. Does a lot for the mental. Okay, so yeah, I think the most important thing is this. We make it seem like you only get one loot box and you just happen to get lucky enough to open more. So how do you acquire loot boxes? It could be you spend currency, in which case you need a way of acquiring currency as well. Although that could be in loot boxes, I guess. Or you find them in other loot boxes. Or we give them to you every so often. Or some combination of the above. Is there anything else we could do to give it to them? Because we got to keep this simple in terms of how you get loot boxes. The other thing, I could see a case where someone goes, okay, let's go see what the rest of the game is about before we go crazy with loot boxes. Yeah, actually, that's another question we should probably include here. Like, do we need to hook players into wanting the loot at first? Like, we steer them in the wrong direction by saying you need to equip your adventurers for battle. All items in the circle just disappear. Wait, there was another idea that I had here too. Oh, what was it? Oh yeah, we could have the Skeletor style opening mechanic where you decrease the time for a treasure chest by using a key. Waiting around would just give you more loot. They can walk up it to reach the exit. Oh man, it was serious. That is sure something, but that means that there is a purpose to the loot boxes. While this is funny, this means you actually do have to open the loot boxes to win the game. Hey, Stats. I don't want it to be necessary. Hey, Method and Luna. Pay to win, shaking my head. I kind of want that to be part of it. Not that you actually pay, but there's some kind of like premium currency. I think that having a premium currency would be interesting for this because that's how most games do loot boxes. So like chests can contain diamonds, and those diamonds are how you buy more chests. Yeah, it has been going pretty well. We worked on music on Thursday. I think that went pretty well. And then I worked on, I don't have this open here anymore. Let me see if I can go find it really fast. I worked on a tool. Yeah, this one. The sprite colorization tool. So we have this character in the platformer game, and this is a poorly applied sprite mask. So you can see a red pixel there on the boot. It's not supposed to be there. You can see some blue over here. But yeah, you can change the color of your character. And I reworked the shader over the weekend, so the hair now has different shading levels, basically. So like as you change the hair color, you can see it's not just one solid color. So yeah, you can do some pretty cool stuff with this. And yeah. So like this could be your character throughout all the games. I'm very excited about this feature. Hey, Trackly music. I'm excited to hear some bangers. I'll probably work on it more on Thursday. And then I can show it to you when it's closer to done, because I've played it now a few times. But I do want to hear what you think of it. I like it. I think it's been going through my head. Like, I think it's pretty good. All right, wait. What other ideas are here? Funny tool tips for the items. Maybe get the ability to open multiple loot boxes at a time. Upbeat chipper music. Yeah, I like that. Oh, closing the menu would play some desolated wasteland, discordant notes, whistling wind, howling of wolves. Yeah, that's another funny idea. You still see how many you have, and if you're out, the game tutorial has you use your premium currency to open them, but you're getting just enough to afford the next loot box. So I think there should be some game mechanic in here. There should be some mild game mechanic in here to maximize your loot. That way players feel like there's even more of a hook to this. And I think one of the simplest ways is a timing event. So like imagine a meter fills up and you have to stop it close to the top. And what I'm thinking of here, and I don't mean to directly steal this, but Kirby Superstar had, oh, what was the game called? Do they have a list of the games in here? Yeah, they do. What's it called? The Arena sub-games. Megaton Punch. Yeah, this. Kirby Superstar Megaton Punch. Let me see if I can find an image of this. It was a really simple game. I just wanted to find the final bit of it. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So in this game, you had to... It's like the tiniest image. You had to stop this meter when it hit very close to the top, and then your character would just like punch a block. So your gameplay was literally one button press. And then there were different views of this. So like two circles would kind of align like this. You had to stop them when they were totally aligned. And there was some third thing you have to do too. And that was it. That was a game. I think this for like, hey, loot meter, and it goes up to the top and it like rises in kind of an interesting way. Maybe it's a sine wave based thing, or maybe it like goes up and then down and then up again. Somehow remember this. Yeah, this is a great game. Some other seemingly innocent game mechanics. I think this works pretty well with a controller and is pretty straightforward. The thing is, we need to then answer, like, how would you still keep getting loot? Maybe you have several different meters here. I'm not sure. So we could vary how the meter fills up. The more it fills, the more loot you get. We still need to account for players who just button mash, since there shouldn't actually be an end to the loot. Maybe you just have to wait some amount of time. Yeah, actually, oh man, this is gonna turn into some like mega game that I'm making. But yeah, I like this idea. I really like this idea. Well, not the varying this part, but that's also pretty nice. Yeah, so something like Megaton Punch and Kirby Superstar. Or how it manifests. Kirby Superstar. Yeah. Hey, Boolean. All right. Yeah, this is okay, so that's pretty good. So let's collect up some ideas that I like from this. Having a simple mechanic to change how much loot you get. So there needs to be some kind of mercy timer that lets you get more loot anyway. I still haven't figured out the manifestation of the loot. Is it just going into, do I still have this open? Yeah. Let's copy this into here. So yeah, is it just going into a warehouse? Is it just going, like, there needs to be some way for you to see that you're getting tons of loot, right? But I think, actually, something I'm kind of curious about is how many different item images can you have on screen at a time? I guess once they start covering up the images you already have there, you can remove them from the pile. Is there a random anime waifu? Is that something associated with loot box games? Hey, Pressel. I wasn't thinking of doing something like that. Oh, the gotcha games, I guess, do that? Yeah. No, I don't. I don't think so. Yeah, the gotcha games. Yeah. Also, 145 streams of Pressel, pretty nice. Happiest of Mondays. Did you get rest on the weekend? Yeah, it was a pretty good weekend. We did quite a lot. And there's a farmer's market that's, you know, near-ish. Give me a sec. That should not be showing up. Hang on one second. Okay. Yeah, there's a farmer's market that's kind of nearby, which has tons of people there. Like, this is not the density we saw yesterday, but this is pretty close. It was really nice. It's dreary today? Oh, no. Yeah. It's not too bad here. Hey, stop using AI. All right, I really, really like the ideas that are coming out of this, and I think we do have a lot of mechanics we're going to need already. So yeah, other ideas I like is using the Skeleseller graphics. We already have chests, keys, tons of loot. The typo, South Afrioka, makes it sound like tapioca. Any incredible light bulbs over the weekend? You talking about ideas? Am I missing something else? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. How was your weekend, Pretzel? So opening a treasure chest. I guess I'm kind of picturing like you select a chest, click the open button that appears. Then a small tutorial plays saying to stop the loot meter or the luck meter close to the top. Did you personally light bulbs at the farmer market? I got a burrito and I was really excited about this burrito, but I think it had like jackfruit in it or something, and I'm just not that big a fan of jackfruit. Hang on, let me see if this is what it had. I think it was jackfruit. I'm not totally sure. Anyway, I just wanted like a bean burrito. I was so excited. And it was not that. It's pretty good. All the cute dogs people have walking around. I really like seeing people just enjoy something. Whether it's a fair or a farmer's market or just a park. think it's really nice. And yeah, just the amount of people that are at this place, and there's so many stalls and things to see and do. Farmers market minigame next. I mean, that's basically Skeleton, right? That's kind of what we're talking about here. So then you get loot out of here. Where does it go? You need to see it accumulate somehow, either as literal items on the ground or in an inventory, or as value, as like the gold value. Hey Crystal, just found your channel. Congrats for your release on Steam. Love the fact that you share a lot of notes on your site. Yeah, welcome in, and thanks. It's only like 20 to 30 stalls. I mean, yeah, this one, I mean, it's not super close. You could also go to the Ballard one. And it might even be the same amount of time. Maybe slightly longer for you, I'm not sure. 17 side quests simultaneously to the player's face, all unskippable. I like the idea. You know what? Okay, so this, I like the stockpile idea. I think it would be neat if the way we prevented that, well, yeah, maybe. If someone's, I was going to say that we could have skeletons taking your items from the stockpile, but if we don't ever clarify why that's happening, you as a player might be confused of like, okay, I'm collecting this loot, but then like it's just getting removed by skeletons. And I don't want you to have to see the whole town or that there's a farm over here or something. I think it should just be the warehouse and like loot opening. Maybe it's just customers come and buy it from this like this loot pile, or maybe this is the shop. This entire thing is just your inventory and you see customers walk by and buy that. That might make more sense. Maybe customers are buying directly from the stockpile. This is what would limit how many items would appear on screen. This implies that you're getting a currency though. And it may not be the premium currency. Maybe you buy better treasure chests with more loot. And if you can't afford one, you get a free treasure chest. Maybe you can even buy upgrades, like more customers, etc. The problem with all this is a game, and it's not going to be obvious that there's no purpose to this game. So this stuff adds a purpose. So it's less of a commentary and more of a fun experience. I mean, we could lean into that and require you to buy the portal out of the game. But then it's just a game. There's no, like, you're not stuck in a broken tutorial. Something costs 1 gold, but you never actually get to 1 gold. It could also be kind of interesting. Although it does imply that eventually you'll get to that gold. If I want this to be the commentary of like how long will people open loot boxes, I've got to limit how much of a game there is. Which means we just don't do things like you don't get better treasure chests. Or Should they feel existential dread of consumer capitalism? I mean, they'll feel existential dread of real life consumer capitalism when it comes to getting loot boxes, because there shouldn't be a purpose to these loot boxes. They went out of circulation years ago. Yeah, I think the difficult thing here is balancing the social commentary with actual gameplay mechanics. The more this resembles a game, the less obvious it'll be that you have to leave it. Although I guess you would have already, okay, so minimally you'd have gone through 3 games before this that you had to leave all of them. But you wouldn't probably assume that leaving this one is by just walking out of it. Okay. Here's an idea. What if you had to buy the portal? Like, yeah, what if you could get upgrades? And the first upgrade you're expected to get is the portal. This allows customers to enter your town. But unbeknownst to you, it also allows you to leave. Yeah. So the very first upgrade you get is the thing that allows you to sell your items. And if you don't sell your items, fine, you'll eventually, like, some timer will give you another loot box. And, well, actually, no, how does that make sense? I don't know, whatever, we'd figure that out. But yeah, then with the portal there, you could just walk outside of the town. Yeah, do you have a character in this, though? I'm not sure I like this. And if we had portals up until this point, then once you buy this, you might be like, oh, I can just leave, right? It's rigged and you never actually get it. Well, I was thinking it'd be rigged and you'd kind of always get, like, this should have every hook for loot boxes to try to get people to stay just so that they don't realize they have to leave it. Give an RNG advantage because of obtained knowledge. No. I wanted these to be kind of standalone games, but also this one, the whole purpose was supposed to be just, there are a lot of loot boxes and you can keep opening them, but there's just literally no point. You don't use the loot. There's no, like, you're not equipping adventurers or anything. You're just getting loot boxes for some reason. And at some point, the player should realize, like, why am I doing this? And then just leave the game. And that will allow them to go to the next game. So that was the original idea. The problem is, if I, like, the simplest manifestation of this is you have loot boxes at the top of the screen. You have an inventory at the bottom. You open a loot box. You get items and occasionally another loot box to open. And that's it. You're just like, oh, we keep giving you enough loot boxes whenever you run out. And occasionally loot boxes to open. Yeah. So it just keeps, you take one off the stack, you open it up, you get 7 items. There's a sword and a shield and a potion. They have no purpose whatsoever. And you also got 3 more loot boxes. Oh my God. Okay, so now you open the other 3 loot boxes and you got like 7 pendants and 2 rings and a skull. I don't know. Again, no purpose for any of those items. And okay, well, you didn't get a new loot box for that one. So you open up the next one and you get, oh my God, 7 loot boxes. And that was the simplest manifestation of this, where it's literally just like this stuff's going on. And at the top of the screen, there's an X button up here somewhere. And at some point you just click that and it's like, are you sure you want to close this? Like, you can get 10 more loot boxes and you're like, yes, I want to close this. And then it's a portal and you walk through the portal and you're done. Does that oversaturate loot? Yeah, it would oversaturate loot, but like there's no point to the loot. And that was the purpose of this game. So the more we change from this, the simplest manifestation of this, to an actual game where it's like, okay, well, press the button at the right time and you'll get more loot. And it's like, now upgrade your stuff and you can get more loot. And you might think, okay, well, this is the game. So eventually I'm gonna like have upgraded my town and it'll let me continue. But actually you could have continued at any point. And that's where I think this idea of like, well, what if you could get a portal? It was like one of the very first things you got. In fact, let's open Skeleseller right now. And I want to be careful that I don't go super deep into these ideas that we end up with like a full game that's going to take forever to make. But yeah, if we open up Skeleseller, we click continue game here. So you start in Skeleseller with a portal in the middle of your town, and clicking it, like, it's clear that it's clickable. Clicking it lets you start a battle. But imagine you don't have this here. You pretty much just have the warehouse and you have the treasure room. And you can buy a loot box. Maybe there's no timer. Maybe you can see the loot inside. I don't know, whatever. But eventually you open this and it plays an animation, plays a sound, and you get all the loot out of it. And then these, instead of your adventurers picking them up to stock them in shops, these are just customers. So they just come over and purchase them right from these slots. And early on, you get some upgrades, and I guess one of them would be a portal. And that's what allows customers to come buy the loot in the first place. And then at some point, the way you leave this game is you just like click the portal and your character walks there. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I just think it'd be too obvious if this is the 4th game in that's like, oh, the portal is how you leave. I've seen portals in the other games too, and maybe you're moving a character around though. So when you've got the controller in your hand, you're like selecting, maybe you're not even selecting things. Maybe you're walking up to where the treasure chests are. That could be kind of interesting. I think this could work if the portal is toward the bottom of the world or something, and you wouldn't typically walk there. So yeah, you would control a character and you open loot boxes by going close to them and pressing A. So there's no loot management. It's pretty much just like, which loot box do you want to open? Maybe instead of like a quick time event, hang on one sec. Excuse me. Hey, Jesta. What's a broken aspect? Is it the fact that the loot has no functionality? Yeah, that's another good question. Is it that you can just leave the game at any time? Is it that the loot doesn't actually matter? Is it that you're just getting tons of loot, that there's actually no way to not get loot? And I'm not totally sure. So yeah, we should probably write that down over here too. What exactly is broken about this game? So in this idea of Megaton Punch in the Kirby game, it was kind of a quick time event. This meter would fill and empty in like a second. So it'd go like whoop, and you had to press A when it hit the top. But another way we could do this is they're like slowly filling up or slowly changing, and you need to go to the one that's closest to the top and open it at that time. But at some point you might realize, like, wait a second, no matter what, whether this meter's at the top or not, I'm getting tons of loot. It's supposed to be rigged, but it isn't. And the player just got lucky. So, yeah, I did want it to make it seem like the player is getting lucky, and that's what makes them want to open more loot boxes. Like, you were only supposed to get 1 loot box, but you actually got 3 out of them. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess I might as well open the 3 that I get. And opening those 3, you end up with 6 of them, and then you end up with 12, and it just keeps rising and rising. And you're like, okay, I'm getting really lucky here. Like, this is gonna be great for when I actually play the game, but there is no game. I don't think I want to go too crazy with upgrades here. The idea of the portal and being, you know, slightly off screen, like it's down at the bottom here, and all your loot box stuff is at the top, is like you wouldn't want to walk all the way down here to go into the portal. But that is all it would take to just exit this game. Hey, Brainoid, how you doing? Basically, the dismiss ad joke, 90s internet, where one would close, open 5, repeat. Yes, something like that, but more in terms of a desirable outcome. So with closing an ad, like you closed it because you were annoyed. In this case, it's opening a loot box, which would make you happy, and now you get to open more loot boxes. And like lots of games just throw these in your face and make you want them and make you get the premium currency for them and spend real money. And that's kind of what this is supposed to be a commentary on. Met a lot of good people. How are things in your end? Oh, neat. Yeah. Things are going pretty well. I've been happy to work on this game. I've been making some good progress. Yeah. Are you still working on Replica? Were you showing that off at the game dev conference, or was it just for fun? Make it a scramble event? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Let me think. What else do we have here? Because yeah, I think that requiring upgrades would probably make this game have a bit too much complexity. Oh, mobile version 4 days, nice. Yeah. Was that a ton of work? I'm guessing it was. Mostly a conference for networking. Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah. You had dinner with him? It was amazing. Yeah, I just played Nuclear Throne again recently. And I didn't play for too long. I but I really like Nuclear Throne, and I know Vlambeer Games was behind that, and I think Rami was behind Vlambeer Games. They had to choose quickly each one that opens, changes the visible ones, or covers the old one. Basically, a user spamming open. Yeah, I think the things I'm kind of struggling with here. So difficulties in what I've talked about so far is this, and I don't know what your character would be doing. Do you just walk near loot boxes to open them? Maybe your character is a literal key. That would be kind of funny. Open treasure chests, and the opening is a like lock picking game of some sort. There's like this reminds me of something. I want to say it was Final Fantasy VII. What are those things called? There's some like, hang on, I'll look at this off screen. There's some like elemental shrine or something. I don't remember enough about how this thing worked. What were they, shrines? Yeah. I think they were just shrines. There was some mini game with this. I think it was a memory game. I can't find pictures of this for some reason. Well, anyway, here's my recollection of it. I might be totally wrong because what's going on here? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I might be totally wrong, but I think the way it worked is there was some circle and there was like a dot moving around the circle. And there were these nodes you had to press a button at a certain time. So like there might be X's and triangles and whatever in a square here. And it would go, I think it would go around once and then it would hide all the symbols and you had to press the correct button, like X, X, triangle, square, at the right times, but without being able to see that the symbols are there anymore. So it was like kind of a memory game, kind of a timing game. That's it. It was a pretty simple mechanic. It wasn't that difficult. I wonder if something like that could work. Or I'm thinking like there are some concentric circles and you have to like align all the lines. That could potentially be interesting. Could be concentric circles and you have to align the tabs on them as they rotate. You have to lock in the currently rotating one. Yeah, something like that. Hmm. I don't know how much of a game this even needs to be, though. All right, how about we focus on something slightly different here? What is broken about this? And potential angles we have right now is like you never stop getting loot. Maybe the broken part is that loot boxes don't actually take any money from you. So you never stop getting loot. It could be that you can leave at any time. And it could be, what was the other thing that I was talking about? The loot has no purpose. Hmm. I still like the idea of the portal. Yeah, I'm gonna write this down. All right. Yeah, but what's broken about this? So I think all these games are gonna be like not just quite what you expect without being outright broken. Like walking through walls is an outright broken mechanic to have. And we had that in the first game. In the second game, it's just that you ignore the game, really. You're in the farming game, but you don't want to be there. And in the third game, it's broken in the way that upgrades are permanent, even though they say that they're not. I think this idea of they don't actually take money from you, I think this could be it. So it says like spend your premium currency, you have 10 diamonds, and you press buy and it just doesn't take them from you. This could make it so that you always have a way of getting more treasure chests too. I kind of like that. And okay, there's some interesting stuff we can do here. Yeah, so this would allow you to always be able to get more chests. And we could still have different tiers of purchasing such that you still need to meet the minimum. But then it just doesn't take the money from you. So you can now always afford that level of treasure chest. Yeah, I like this a lot. Tutorial wants to open one, but the prompt to open one never goes away. Yeah, I think it's that you can just never stop opening them. I accepted 6 customers, bartered my way in. Oh, wow. Very neat, Pickle. Yeah, very neat. By the way, I finally beat Slay the Spire 2. I got insanely lucky. I'm going to now talk in terms I'm not going to explain. So for anyone who's played the game, this will make sense. But for everyone else, I'm not gonna bother. But there's a thing called Clone, and there's a card called Fetch. And for those who haven't seen Fetch, at least I'll pull that up. Necrobinder Fetch. It's a 0 energy, deal 6 damage, draw a card. I got 68 of these in my deck. It was nuts. I like very easily beat both of the Act 3 bosses. And that was it. That was the last run that I had to do. A10, are we going? Yeah, A10. Yeah, so that was the final A10. I had done all the other classes. I just never really liked Necrobinder that much. And then finally knocked out Necrobinder 2. So now I'm just going back to Ascension 0 and just playing with broken decks. No difficulty. They're stressing a lot about Slay the Spire 2, yeah. Also, hey, Verani. Okay, I like this idea. I like this idea a lot. So this does imply that there are upgrades. Yeah, so we should definitely write this down. So you get some currency to buy chests, but buying a chest doesn't actually take the currency. You just need to meet the minimum. Yep. No, spitballing is totally fine. Imagine there's a cooldown for loot boxes spawning, but it's broken and is spawning more than normal. Most loot is useless. However, every so often you get a piece of portal. Once a player collects all 4, they can leave the game. Broken part being there's no cooldown. So the only thing, like, I think there are a couple ways you could position this, and one of them is just like option 1. There's a game that involves opening loot boxes. Some mechanic is broken, and like you need to exploit that mechanic to leave. But option 2, and this is what I want to go with, is there's a game that involves opening loot boxes. Some mechanic is broken that lets you keep opening them, but at any point you can leave. And this comes down to the social commentary of, yeah, how long will people keep opening loot boxes if there's no purpose? So like if you were speedrunning this game, you would enter it and you'd immediately leave it because there's no point whatsoever in playing this game. But I want to present a very addictive mechanic and show you that there's nothing behind this mechanic. And what's difficult about that is that the more game we develop for this, the more it's going to seem like there's a purpose for it. So like gacha games aren't just you opening a set of items. The items have a purpose, and like there's a game behind it, and they make you want those items so that you want to spend money. Like if what's that game called? The one that got super popular, that's open world, that's gacha. What is it? Oh man, I can't think of the name of this. All right, hang on. Let me just search this gacha popular game. Genshin Impact. Yeah, Genshin Impact. Yep. Okay, so Genshin Impact. If Genshin Impact did not have a game in front of it, I don't think people would be interested in buying anything for it. Even the same with, well, there's one exception maybe, and it's collectibles. There are some people who buy like magic cards but never play the game. But that's at least a physical collectible. I think most of the time it's like, well, you know, I occasionally play the game, or I like having these strong cards or something. But yeah, imagine that there's just like there's just nothing. It's like imagine Pokemon with no battles and no no anything. You can't interact with the Pokemon. You're just collecting them. And a game to it, not just a ping collector. Well, don't most of them have games to it? I thought most of them did. Like I played even Puzzle and Dragons. This kind of game. This is also a gacha game as far as I understand. I haven't played this in a long time. But yeah, you look at a picture like this. This, I think these were your heroes, and that the amount of damage you do was based on like the power of the heroes and their abilities or something. I don't fully remember. And that there were like S rank heroes you could get that were incredibly expensive or rare. And this is how a lot of gacha games worked, is that there was a game to it, but the characters are really just numbers, and the ones you normally get are just not very high numbers. And so like you'd struggle to beat parts of the game. And many mobile games follow this pattern. It's like, well, the game might be fun, but then it's made artificially difficult on some rarity. I want to track the time spent. Yeah. I think that would be interesting. Okay, so I like this. I like this stuff. And I think I like the idea of you getting a portal. So I think we need to explore that more now. So if you get a portal early, which unlocks customers coming and buying loot, then it would be reasonable to assume that you get other upgrades. So more treasure stands, more loot per treasure chest, faster customers pay more. I don't know, any other things you can imagine for this. So like, is that too much? You need an upgrade UI. Yeah, you need to understand maybe upgrades cost your money, but loot boxes don't. That's kind of interesting. Other random ideas that I kind of just came up with right now. So maybe upgrades actually take your money, but loot boxes don't. Loot boxes actually say that they do. Buying a loot box should still show like -10. Do we have a diamond graphic? Okay, let's go. Let's go modify this. Edit. Where are my emojis? Diamond. Oh, I don't have autocomplete anymore on here. So I gotta actually type this in. There we go. Okay, now we close out of this. I can put it in here. So -10 diamond. Yeah. So that you think it costs you. Upgrades take your money, but your loot boxes don't. Also, it shouldn't necessarily be diamonds. Like it could be gold. No, it could be gold, not diamonds. It doesn't really matter. I just want to make sure I'm consistent at some point. So yeah, make upgrades take your money, but loot boxes don't. And then another idea that I had is when you try entering the portal, it could say something like, portal, this is where customers come from. Or like, this is how customers can visit from faraway lands. And then you try entering it. And it says, are you sure you want to go to where customers come from? I don't know. On the order of the Sinking Star demo, there's a rumor if you had 1,000 drowning deaths, you get an achievement. Yeah, I think gaming challenges have gotten a little bit absurd to where people will probably do pretty much anything you set in front of them. Back in the day, there were challenges where people said like, "Oh, this character is in the game," and one of the classic ones was like, "Sonic is in Super Smash Bros. Melee," but you have to beat some ludicrous challenge to do it. And yeah, people probably sought out those challenges for that reason. Like, what if Sonic really is in the game? Mew is under the truck. You gotta go near the SSN. But a high quality game worth the money you put in? Well, most usual. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay, so I think the main thing we got to explore is the setting. Like, how are you? What are you? What are you doing? Or like, what is your character? What is the manifestation of your character? What are you doing? And how do you leave? Those sorts of things. Otherwise, yeah, this is coming together. And actually, thanks to using the Skeletor graphics, thanks to having a lot of these animations and everything, like we could just use this chest opening animation and the sound effects and whatever else I have. Just copy paste all that stuff. And yeah. Had no internet to fact check insane things friends threw at us. Yeah, I know like decompilation of games or yeah. Like cheat engine sorts of things. You could test this out. Yeah, it actually does change quite a lot about what you can keep secret in a game. Like back then, you might have a cheat that the developers added to the game that just no one ever really discovered. But now, as long as one person discovers it, like everyone will know about it. I heard of the Chiliad mystery. No, I never played any of the GTA games. Something that I find kind of crazy. So I do play the finals, and they have an Easter egg hunt that is kind of crazy. Like, I wonder if there's some page on this just to give you an idea of how crazy some of these things are. Yeah, like one of these I remember. Yeah, okay. So yeah, there's some part of the map. This is gonna be really hard to get across. There's some part of the map of these raised squares, and you needed to like step on them in a certain order or with a certain number of players, and then off in the distance you'd see some dolphins, and this would give you a dolphin item or something. And like nothing in the game tells you that you need to do any of this stuff. You have to follow some very obscure Easter eggs to figure this out. And there's just a bunch of those sorts of puzzles in the game. Like I'm not trying to solve any of these myself. These are intense. But I think it's cool that someone's out there designing those sorts of puzzles. Okay, so I got to take a break. But yeah, when we get back, we're going to try to tackle some of these things. If we can get the game design for this pretty solid, I think we can start working on the game today and then probably not come back to it until Wednesday. But yeah, I want to make sure that the game design is good. So for now, is it jump time? It's jump time. Hello, hello. Hey, TJ. Close the game. Okay, so time to explore the rest of this design space that we have. So yeah, what's the manifestation of your character? This will change. Tackling the points above. So this will change how you control things. If you have to, if you have to move a character around, or if you move a character around, then going to the portal is a natural way to exit the game. Like walking into the portal. If you don't move a character around, then you would just be clicking the portal, I guess. You have a record height per user. This save data is on GitHub. Although I haven't pushed it recently. And I don't remember if it saves that. I don't even remember where it is. Save data. What do we save? Format. Total height achieved. No, we don't store the top height that you've ever gotten. Just the total amount. Yeah. I don't know. I never really thought like what might people want to see. But that would probably have been good. Trying to compete against myself. Yeah. So I guess short of you remembering it on your own, yeah, we don't store it. All right, so I like the idea of a character moving around. But then I think it would impact how you control the game in a negative way. Like you would move near treasure stands to buy a chest or to open a chest. Actually, that's pretty much it, right? Maybe that's all you do. Maybe you don't even buy the portal. Maybe it's just there to begin with. Huh. What if you didn't have to buy the portal? You just had one there to begin with. And then you put out ads to get customers to your town. All right, I think that's probably how this works. Megaton punch QTE. So you control a character and yeah. At any point, or like when you're close enough to a treasure stand, you can either buy a chest or open the one that's there. Do you really have to buy them? Yeah, probably. Maybe a loot box shop management game? Not really. No, the today command kind of talks about what the goal was for this. It's supposed to be presented as a loot box or shop management game, but it is actually a game you're just intended to leave as soon as possible. So none of the progress that you do, none of the items you get have any purpose whatsoever. And yeah, I want it to be like you could beat this game by just holding down until you walk into the portal and then you're done. In fact, maybe we should try to fit this all on one screen or just barely on one screen. At any point you can walk through the portal. Maybe it's barely off screen. So you have to very slightly scroll vertically to see it. Okay, that's a pretty good idea. I just don't know about that one little thing. Like, should you have to buy it or not? And if it's off screen, so imagine you got something like this. We don't have a great way of doing this, do we? All right, let me just kind of mock something up super quickly then. Maybe even in Skeleseller. Yeah, like this. So here's your town. And I want to take a picture when you can see one of those purple particles. Okay, well, they're barely happening. But yeah, so imagine that this is the whole view that you get. You can open treasure chests up here. This is like your inventory. And then there's a little purple particle down here. And like this is where customers come from. So you just see them walk from the bottom of the screen, like off the screen up into your town and buy items and then eventually leave. But like you could walk down there too. Yeah, I like that idea. So, but do you start with a portal? Do you start with the portal? If you have to buy it, then it would be obvious to the player that they can leave. If you don't have to buy it, the player would eventually have to get curious about what's off screen. Is this just a play on death? You can't take things with you beyond the grave? No, not really. I mean, otherwise every sub game kind of would be because you're just switching between games. I think buying it makes it a little bit more obvious. So yeah, I'm leaning toward this. Yeah, so you would have upgrades. So there should also be like a perk board. There's a perk board that lets you get upgrades. Upgrades. The first upgrade is a portal that spawns off screen but lets you get customers in your town. And then other upgrades can be like basic nonsense. Like whatever, the usual fare. Faster customers. They tip occasionally. I don't know, like loot stacking, more loot per chest, etc. We don't have to be creative with this. It's just got to look like a game. Chest keys, tons of loot, customers, item stands, etc. Okay, do items have tooltips? What haven't we answered from this? This is done. So you are a character. I don't know what kind of character you are. I guess you could be a skeleton. It'd have to look like your character though. So we could make a skeleton get themed with these colors. Although you don't have hair. So I mean, how many colors? Where's the character? There they are. All right. So they've got, oh, that was a bad screenshot. I got to take it when they are facing upward, hopefully. There. Whatever. Anyway, they've got their cloak. We could give them a pupil color, I guess. No, that doesn't make sense, right? They don't have eyes. All right, well, they got their cloak and maybe their boots. So maybe of the colors that you customize, you only really get 2 of them. So we pick the shirt color for your cloak and then the, yeah, shoe color for your boots. I don't know. Yeah. Or maybe you're just a human. In fact, you could just be one of the Skeleseller characters, right? Like we could just make you the cleric or the spirit caller or something. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. The character can be one of the Skeleseller characters. The cleric. Does any other character make more sense? No, I think the cleric probably makes the most sense. And you wouldn't see this portrait anyway. So you just see the cleric walking around in town. So they have a very obvious hair color, which is what's appealing about this to me. Because then we can use the hair color and maybe the shirt color. I don't think she's even wearing shoes. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm tunnel visioning on colors just because I really like the idea of customizing colors in this game. All right, so yeah, Skeleseller graphics. You get some currency to buy chests. Buying a chest doesn't actually take the currency. You need the minimum. You control a character. Upgrades. Upgrades actually do take your money. Oh, wait a second though. Doesn't that mean you can get into a state where you don't have any money to buy a treasure chest? Yeah, how about we just prevent that? If you ever get into a state where you can't afford the the lowest tier chest, then we just let you buy it anyway. It could even look disabled or like the button to buy, but it could still work. All right, wait, there was something else I was thinking of here. Oh yeah, loot. We have the other ideas. Oh my god. This is something that just struck me. We have the animated swords that we never used from Skeleseller. We could use those now because they're just graphics. Where are they? I think we have an unused folder. Yeah. Animated weapons. Yeah, these. Oh man, this is gonna be great. Yeah, I always felt bad. Quickie Joe did some great artwork for these, and they're nice. They look cool, but we just never used them, and now we can use them. Hey, PG King. Okay, this is shaping up to be pretty great. All right, you get some currency by chest. Anything we haven't answered yet? What are you doing? How do you leave? Yeah, we've answered that stuff, I think. I haven't answered whether that mini game should still be there. So yeah, buying the portal. First upgrade is the portal that spawns off screen. The reason we have the player buy this is as a gigantic hint that they can leave the game in the first place. Yeah, okay, so the questions that I haven't answered yet. What happens to loot that you get from chests? Does it go to a literal stockpile? Does it go onto item stands? Do you have to upgrade those stands? I kind of like the idea of it going into item stands, and maybe you don't have enough room for loot, so it starts to disappear or something. Maybe loot disappears on the ground and you can upgrade the time for that. Actually, it'd also be nice. Yeah, like upgrade icons. It'd be nice to be able to reuse all the icons that we had here. Although drawing another like 1 or 2 of these shouldn't be too bad. Oh, I was talking about not those, these. Yeah, so let's click this and this. Wait, what? I gotta go buy all this stuff? There, now we have them all, right? Oh no, this thing's busted. All right, well, do we have enough icons for this stuff? I mean, some of this we do. Yeah, I might need like a couple more. Oh yeah, do keys have any purpose? Do keys even exist? And is there any sort of mini game for opening the chest? All right, I think I like the idea of item stands. It gives you a clearer visual representation of the loot you're getting. Also, maybe some of these upgrades shouldn't have limits. Maybe some upgrades don't have real limits. You could keep putting points into more loot and get like 50 items per treasure chest. Plus, it looks more like Skeleseller this way. Yeah, so like you loot flies from the chest to the treasure stands, or to the item stands. Customers buy from the stands. This makes it resemble Skeleseller more and gives you another upgrade point. Keep in mind that we should have the bone mode upgrade icons for item storage. I don't want loot stacking to be a thing. At least I don't think so. Can you inspect items? I guess that's another question. Can you inspect items? Like, would there be descriptions? We could take them right from Skeleseller. But I don't think descriptions or tooltips are needed at all for this. All right, do keys exist? Hmm. I mean, it's pretty natural, and we have the graphics for them. Where are those graphics? Here we go. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of keys here. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. Also, it would give you one other thing to do. Maybe you could take a key from one of your item stands. Maybe it would let you bypass the little mini game that happens. Maybe this lets you bypass the mini game that happens. Maybe it augments loot inside the chest. I mean, that's how it worked in Skeleseller. Oh, there was a time mechanic as well. Hmm. Do I want that? Also, the other nice thing about this is we could literally just like randomly take any one of these item graphics. Could even have crops and stuff for all we care. Like we don't need to come up with names or descriptions or anything. And I think it'll look very vibrant as a result. Yeah, actually that's another reason to use item displays here. It gives you another upgrade point, and it shows off the loot graphics that Quickie Joe made. Items would be overlapping in a stockpile. All right, yeah, keys. What are we doing for keys? So I'm imagining your character, like you control them, you walk them over to here, you buy a treasure chest. There is no timer that shows up. So now you just be able to open it. I guess it would be glowing. Maybe it's not though. Maybe it's not glowing until you do the mini game. There's 3 phases to it. Maybe there are 3 states that a chest can be in. Or that well, I don't know, maybe a treasure stand could be in. Empty, you can buy a chest. Occupied, but locked, you need to unlock it. Or unlocked, you open it for the loot. Yeah, I kind of like that. You buy a treasure chest, it starts out locked, and now you either need a key to open it or you need to do the little mini game. Yeah. That would be great. But then we just need to consider what happens if you have maybe keys just go into the UI, not into an actual physical slot. Bypassing the mini game and augmenting loot sound interesting. I don't think I want you to have to manage items yourself. So maybe like it could just be that you get one of the key graphics. Like there's just a golden key and that's it, or a skeleton key or something. In fact, I kind of like the skeleton key idea. Or all of them will open a treasure chest, but different ones will add more loot than other ones would. It probably doesn't matter too much. I just don't want it to be too complicated, and this is a place where we can trim some of the complexity. So yeah, I don't think you should have to like take a key from the item displays. It may be better if keys are a UI only, or like keys show up somewhere in the UI. Or maybe there are key rings where all keys go. Do we have a graphic for that? I don't think so. No, I don't see anything. I mean, it could be that keys are in a literal pile on the ground. And you go over and you pick one up. And maybe you can only hold so many there at a time. But then you need to know what keys do. No, I don't think keys are worth it. Alternatively, okay, so the other thing we could do, okay, here's an idea. Maybe keys are some like quality representation of the mini game that you do. So as an example here, imagine a meter. Maybe there's a meter with this. I don't like this idea, but maybe there's a meter that you have to mash a button to fill. And there's a silver, like a bronze key early into the meter, then a silver one halfway through, then a gold one at the end. I don't like having to button mash, but I do like the idea that you get a reward, or like that the key is a reward and does something better for the chest. Hey, Scoreline. It's going pretty well. Today's been a fun day so far. Give a key to an NPC who uses it to open a chest, but when he puts it back in his pocket, it falls out. Well, the keys, I think this idea is probably the simplest. It's just a representation of like how far along did you get. So for example, the silver key starts, or well, I don't know, the silver key, and then the gold key indicates you've done something even better, and the skeleton key is like, oh my god, you got the best possible outcome. That way we're using some of those graphics, not that we really need to. But then, yeah, what's the mini game? I think that's the last question that we have to answer. So can you inspect items? I think the answer is no. Yeah, you cannot inspect items. There are no tooltips or descriptions. I don't want this to be confusing for players, and I don't want to localize everything. This lets us use every single graphic without having to worry about what the item is. Cool. Yeah, thanks for the resub, Scoreline. Happy 9 months. All right, so the last question that at least I have so far is, what is the mini game for opening chests? And the goals are that it's simple to understand, like moderately fun, at least moderately fun. Yeah. So that megaton punch is, I think, the simplest thing to understand. Like you see this fill up and it fills up like very quickly and it falls very quickly or something. You got to stop it when it's at the top. And the top is like skeleton key. And anything below that is, you know, golden key. And then below that is the silver and then bronze or something like that. And then it like takes that key out, puts it into the treasure chest, and you get a bunch of loot. Well, then you can open it for a bunch of loot. Yeah. I think seeing what's in the chest ahead of time might be nice. Not that it's necessary. Seeing what's in the chest ahead of time might be nice. It would show you the result of the key that you got. I'm picturing this idea that I only talked about that maybe some other game is done. I'm not totally sure, but you have, well, how do you draw a circle? I think it's that, yeah. So imagine you got something like this. And this actually works out pretty well because, wait, how do you, wait, how am I positioning? Are these things just like random? I don't, okay, well, anyway, this worked out pretty well. So what I was thinking is each one of these circles would rotate. So imagine this one rotates and there's a notch like here. And I don't know how this makes sense, so don't ask me. But yeah, you need to stop this. So like this is constantly rotating. You need to stop it when this thing aligns with this. And then same thing here. This will then rotate maybe the opposite direction. And you just stop it when this notch aligns here too. And then this one rotates and you got to stop it. I don't know what this represents. This is some like, it's just a mini game. It's not like lock picking or something. And then based on how kind of close you got it, it gives you a key. Hey, Japlata. About detecting region, implementing GDPR regulations around percentage chance for loot inside. Too much? Yeah, I think it's too much. I don't want to touch on real world stuff, especially real world stuff that might change, because that's not really the commentary here. Can't remember where though. Yeah, Skyrim did something with lockpicking, and I don't remember what did Skyrim do. Skyrim lockpicking, because all the lockpicking mini games. First of all, I don't like lockpicking mini games. Okay, no, Skyrim did not do this. Or maybe it did, but it's just all hidden from you because this is the UI that they show in the game apparently. Yeah, I forgot how it worked. But yeah, I think this idea is pretty simple. Like, and it could literally just tell you on the side, like, line up the notches with the, or stop the tracks with the notches aligned at the top. And then as you're doing it, you could say like good or great or perfect. And then those words could just stay here, and it could be like good plus bad, bronze key, something like that. So I'll just paste this into my document. But I think this is pretty good. And it's at least a good start. And this should ideally take place in a in like in the top of the screen so that you can still see loot being sold at the bottom. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so there's a like a key acquisition mini game where you stop rotating circles such that their notches align with the top of the top of the circle or something. I don't know, the top of the track. You are rated for accuracy. That rating results in a key. The key alters the loot in the chest. Remember, none of this matters. And like, it doesn't, you can just open the chest and get bad loot. It doesn't matter. And you can, well, I said you could skip this mini game by using a key. Is that even worthwhile? It's probably not worthwhile. Yeah, I don't think that's, I don't think we, I think the keys will just be, yeah, the manifestation. Okay, good. So we're done with that, right? Yeah. This lets us use key graphics without having to make the player manage an inventory of keys. Yeah. Rating results in a key, which would fly into the chest and allow it to be opened. Yeah. Yeah, so we would need to probably say like, we probably need names for the keys themselves, like skeleton key. Yeah, great, perfect. And maybe some description for what that does. That's okay though. And then yeah, all the different loot that you see here could just be given from a treasure chest. And they could all have values. We just don't need names for them. So all we need to do is go through this sheet and be like, okay, that's worth 5 gold, and that one's worth 10 gold, and that one's worth 400 gold. Yeah, should be simple. So we haven't talked about customers yet, though. Have we? Yeah. Wait, have I? I don't actually know if I have. Customers buy from the stands. And yeah, each item has a gold value. Yeah, pretty reasonable. So all you're doing with the money is buying more loot boxes. And you learn pretty early on that the money doesn't really matter, I guess. Are you able to find loot boxes from other loot boxes? Okay, so now we just need to, yeah, we need some other ideas. It could be that if you get a perfect score on the mini game, that you get another loot box for free. Maybe we force that for the tutorial so that you feel like you like ripped the system off. Maybe it opens all the treasure chests at once when you get perfect. Why would you even need to open the treasure chest? It would just be like unlock the treasure chest. I think that's a simplification that we could do. Okay, where do we have that? When you're close enough to a stand, you can either buy a chest. You pick which level of chest, like which tier of treasure you want, or open the one that, or unlock the one that's there. Yeah, I think getting up. So what we could do is we could start you with like 3 treasure chests. We force you to get a perfect score on the first one, and then it unlocks all of the different treasure chests that you have. So it says like loot combo or something, and then you get a ton of loot. Hmm. Maybe you start with 3 loot boxes. I mean, why else? You don't even need multiple stands otherwise. You need multiple treasure stands. Hey, Sejamara. Happy Monday. Like, you can only interact with one at a time. Yeah, I mean, in Skeleseller, there was a very minor reason for this, which is the more of these that you had, the more that could be ticking time down. So you have 6. So it's every 1 second that passes, you're getting 6 seconds of benefit out of it. Whereas if you only had 2 treasure stands, then time isn't helping you as much. So now you need more keys. But in the simplification of this, there is no such mechanic. It could be that you only ever have 1 treasure chest at a time. Okay, so you know what could work is maybe if you have a free treasure stand, you can get loot boxes for free, but you know that they're free already. Maybe it's just for holding loot boxes, like extra loot boxes that you find. But it doesn't cost anything to get loot boxes in the first place. And the player will probably realize that pretty quickly. Maybe we don't need multiple. And maybe it's much larger as a result of that. In fact, maybe we could use treasure chest size to communicate something. Where are the treasure chests? Here. Yeah. Hey, Mousy. Come running to open them. Then this is the game for you. Yeah, I have this in the today command. That's kind of the joke for this game. But there's no purpose to getting any of this loot. You don't need to get any of it. You don't need to. Well, actually, maybe you need the very first loot box to be open, but it's just the one for the tutorial, and then you can just leave the game at any time. Yeah, I think it's a very fun idea. Okay, so I do sort of like the idea of only having a single chest at any time. It simplifies the Yeah, it simplifies how you would obtain loot boxes. We could also vary the size of the loot box. In fact, maybe that's part of what you're doing. You're buying like you're buying like small wooden chest, small, I don't know, maybe we use that graphic, small silver chest, small gold chest, and small like ornate or gem chest or something. There's like 5 tiers, but then you can also get like medium and large. I'll write that down at least. We could have like 5 tiers of treasure chests and then have different sizes, small, medium, large as well. Hey, Campbell Soup. Yeah, so the problem with only having one is that you have no real reason to move your character around. So I'm still picturing that you are manually controlling this like cleric character, right? And you can walk up to a chest and pick whether you want to buy this. Great example of production skill, not just prototyping. My last stream, pop-up scene, more complicated than I ever thought. You mean like this sort of thing, like a pop-up in the middle of the screen? Because yeah, there are a lot of edge cases, especially if you ever want people to move this stuff around. Like in Skeleseller, you can drag this little window here. And yeah, you got to make sure they can't go off the screen if you can resize things so it gets put back onto it. You need to make sure it's not covering anything else. There's like a Z index you need to pay attention to. Clicking in the background either could or couldn't do something depending on what you have. You change what hotkeys are going to be used. So like pressing escape here closes this, but pressing escape here opens up the settings menu. So yeah, there's a lot of those sorts of things. I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about. So you'd be going, so your choice when pressing the buy button would be which chest you're getting. It'd be kind of nice, I guess, if you had to go to, I'm not sure. Maybe you're buying them from this character. Yeah, maybe you buy them from the treasure spirit. Or maybe there's some other component to this, like the treasure spirit is offering you 3 chests at any given time, and you can pick which one to open based on paying a fee. And they disappear after some time. Maybe the treasure spirit is offering 3 chests at any time. I don't think I like this idea. I want to keep this simple. At the beginning of the game, we can have some arrow pointing this saying like click here to, or like move here to buy a treasure chest. Actually, having the perk board there and the treasure spirit together, I think that could be kind of interesting. You go up to this person, you buy the chest. And maybe the treasure stands are just you can buy multiple at a time. Or still works outside of it. Transparent color rect with mouse event trap. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good experience to have. Okay, I kind of like that idea. So you'd have multiple treasure stands, and you talk to the treasure spirit to buy the chest. I think that's a good one. I do like having to buy the chest from the treasure spirit. Maybe that's why you want multiple stands. Maybe upgrades make it so that you can buy 1 chest but get 2 at the same time. This yeah, because I want your character movement to matter to some extent. Do I have that worker 0 thing here? No, I don't know where this would have existed anyway. Also, why is it so slow? It hasn't closed its dialogue yet. There it goes. Weird. Mouse. Did I ever write this anywhere? Can I just search for MD? Steam positioning based on mouse coordinates? No. Nope. I never wrote it down. Okay, well, still gotta think about this. So you'd walk over to the treasure spirit, you talk to them, and they're like, "Hey, which treasure chest do you want to buy?" Yeah, I think that's pretty nice. The treasure spirit would ask, "Which chest do you want to buy?" And then you'd see a bunch of options here. So something like wooden, silver, gold. What other ones we have? And like jeweled. I'm just trying to think if you had tiers here, what would you consider them to be? What would you call this? Well, whatever. Anyway, we have like gemmed chests or something like that. And then you'd have a size. Maybe the size is controlled by the upgrades. Or maybe it's controlled by keys. Maybe the size of the chest is controlled by upgrades or by how many keys you get. So then you buy it, it just puts it on a stand nearby, and then you'd have to go unlock that thing. I think having you buy them that way is kind of silly. Maybe the minigame gets harder based on the chest. Okay, that's a pretty interesting idea. We could have more circles or they move faster. Hey, I used this tag to play. Would you ever consider making an open source game where you can create tickets and ideas and the community would contribute those features? Probably not. I think it'd become kind of a management nightmare because you need to review everyone's code. You'd run into people who want to contribute something but don't understand how to do it. You'd run into malicious people who are contributing actively bad things. You'd need it to all follow like a common philosophy when it comes to coding and the design of things. And I think some of those projects can be interesting. Like there was a community Shrek project where people remade the entire first Shrek movie. Where is this? Is it this? I don't know. Anyway, it's somewhere. I had seen it on YouTube, I think. I don't know if it still exists. But that had distinct styles in each phase of the movie, in each section. And it worked. And people watching it understood what the project was about. I think for a game, yeah, it'd be hard to market if you were trying to make a product. And also, you need people to be interested. What happens if the interest just is never really there? So it's like, well, now it's just me making everything. I think it'd be fun as a game jam, probably. Some like distributed game jam. Yeah, I like this idea. So we could say like loot, low difficulty. Like good loot. Maybe they have. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we need a cost. It could be something like this. And I don't know if we're getting a little crazy here, but all right. So insert column right and insert column right. Okay, so chest. This should be loot quality or like loot difficulty cost. Yeah. And we could just put some, like, this could be wooden, and we could say, just put stars here or something. Difficulty, cost, silver, oops, gold, and gemmed. Well, you can't put cost as stars, I guess. You need to actually list what this is. Just be like 10, 100, 500, 5,000. Yeah, so something like that I think could work. And you just pick which one of these you want. Yeah, all has so many opinions. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I think as a game jam, it could be interesting. I think making it a product would be very difficult. And I think you'd need a pretty grand vision at the beginning of how it should work. Because the way I'm picturing this, at least, is if we did it as a game jam, it'd be something like I would come up with a broad idea. And probably the way I'd do this is I'd come up with some like central theme, and maybe it's an RPG, because RPGs tend to have a lot of systems. So then I'd have each person could make a system, and systems could interact with like character stats and inventory and maybe a currency or something like that. So like person one could go make a shop system, and it takes currency and gives items, or it takes items and gives currency. And person two could make a battle system, and it takes character stats and modifies everything. Level ups give stats, and you can give your items, and you can earn money from them. And someone else can make some like a trading system or a crafting system or something like that. And then yeah, you can connect all these things, and you end up with a game that no one person designed. And you could have little mini games that get played out and somehow still interact with these stats and stuff. So yeah, I think that could be interesting, but I don't think it'll ever be quite as fun or holistic as if you just had one person making all of this. So you'd have to lean into, okay, everyone's just doing their own style. So even though it says RPG, it's like you could make this battle system be a breakout game where you have a paddle and a ball, and the ball's power is how much damage you're doing to each of the blocks. And then the blocks drop items that you can go use in a different game. But yeah, someone's got to orchestrate like, well, what are the items? You know, if you make a health potion, does that even have a reason to exist in breakout? Like, is it functional? Is it for crafting? I don't know. There's a lot of decisions you have to make. So yeah, I think if the point you're looking at is it fun to make? I think it could be. Yeah. I think if it's am I going to make a monetized product? I think that'd be really tough. Hey, typical. Happy Monday. I like this. I like this idea. I think this is good. I haven't exactly answered yet. Why are you moving around in the game? Yeah, buy a treasure chest. Happy existence. Thank you. Still not sure about this. Because again, the problem that you run into is I want you to be able to purchase a treasure chest, which in Skeleseller, I mean, the way this works is you walk up to a thing. You don't walk up to a thing. You just click a thing and click buy. And ignoring the timer aspect of this, like in this game, you would actually physically control a character. So I'd be moving, and a character would be walking up here. I get to a treasure stand, and I click buy on it, I guess. Or maybe I go up to the treasure spirit and ask them like, hey, can I get a golden chest? And they're like, yep. And it costs you 500 diamonds. And now, cool, you have your golden chest over here. And then you have to move over to the chest and unlock it. Now you enter your unlocking mini game. So you have these like spinning circles, and you need to stop them at the right time. And like, oh my God, this thing lines up, and you get the skeleton key, and now the chest is openable. or maybe it auto opens. So you open it and you see loot pop out and it goes into your items displays at the bottom. I think just for consistency with including the main character is justifying enough. Yes, it is. But once you have that character, I think there should be some reason for you to move. Otherwise, a character might be like, wait a second, I'm going up to here and then going down to here and then going up to here and then going down to here. Like, is there something else to this world? They might go explore and be like, oh, there's a portal. Like, can I walk into the portal? And then they just leave the game. So this is more to distract the player. I need some other thing over here for you to walk to. I wonder if we could use the key grinder in here somehow. Actually, that could be an interesting other mechanic. You could just grind any loot into keys. Using the key grinder could be interesting. It would also give you something to do with the extra loot. In fact, that could be the mini game. You pick items that aren't selling or something like that to grind into keys so that you can open chests. But then you only have one system feeding itself. So loot boxes are the source of items, which are the source of keys, which are how you open loot boxes. So it either completely sustains itself or it doesn't, but there are no knobs you can tweak for those things. Whereas in Skeleseller, the way this worked is like, well, you could just do more battles to get the items, to do all the other things in your town. So it wasn't just one system. I think it makes more, I don't know, yeah. I still want a reason for the character to walk around. Having them pick up items, though, probably isn't great. I have like proper hand graphics for them. Must have made them the skeleton character, then it looks pretty good. So why else would you want to walk around? I mean, we can either just require you to do so for some reason. Maybe we have enough to just start prototyping though, and we'll figure out what the problems are as we get into it. I want to think about this for a little bit longer. Hey, Phaedric. And we know the TV show Reboot, the one where they had to fight, like, I forgot how that worked. They had these like events that happened, and there were these like glitches, and they had to protect the computer. It was like a 3D animated show, right? Crafting table where they can upgrade loot, all out on the loot and rolling mechanics. The only thing is, if you can upgrade loot, there need to be some like way of knowing how you're upgrading it. And I want to be careful at adding extra mechanics to this, because I think we already probably have enough complexity as it is. So, like, reasons I think you may need to move around, like purchasing chests and then opening the chest. This would be tedious. Maybe you, I don't know. Player opens up games and they enter the game. I don't know. Oh, you're right. They were games. I forgot about that. Much about the game you're building, but the concept reminded me of it. Yeah, yeah, interesting. I hadn't made that connection. Also, I haven't thought about that show in a long time. The current game that we're talking about here is not really a game. It's more of a commentary. It's a game where you get loot boxes, which are these treasure chests. You'd open them, they turn into items, and then customers would come and buy those items from you, which would let you open more loot boxes. So now you buy another few of these and you open more of these. And there's a little mini game for opening them. But at any given time, you can just walk down to the portal and leave the game. And that's what you're expected to do. Everything else in here is for absolutely no purpose. You will get money. There's no reason to have the money. You will get loot. There's no reason to have the loot. Like, it just doesn't matter. There are going to be upgrades. You could ignore all of this and just leave. And I mentioned this before, but I need to make sure that there's enough variety in how you're leaving games. Because there was another idea that I had. It's one of those games out of the game. Yeah, exactly. So there's another idea that I had where imagine a space shooter game where I didn't mean to click that, but it doesn't matter. Where you are, do they have an example here? Yeah, like you're going off to the right side and you're shooting enemies and it's just kind of auto progressing for you. And then at some point you just move off the left side and you leave the game. Now that we're doing that with the loot box game, we can't really do it with this one too. There should be like other silly ways in which it's broken. And when you think of the brokenness, it's either like, you know, too much power that your character gets, or you just leave a game immediately. Or yeah, everything is free. Or yeah, enemies do no damage, that sort of thing. There are only so many equivalence classes I feel that you can have be fun for the player, and you don't want to reuse them too much. And I like how everything's worked so far. Sometimes it's just you beat the game, I guess. And that's maybe the most common one you should use. But okay, I've got to come back to what is the idea? I want to sit on this one for a little while. Yeah, why would you move around in this game? You have to discover them? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I'll be right back. I'm going to take my break. Is it jump time? It's jump time. Hello, hello. Hey, Purple. Close the game. Okay. So yeah, why should you move around in this game? Well, we could revamp some of what we talked about. Maybe you have to get keys from an image. I keep thinking about moving an item around. Secret room, shortcut path is another way to end the minigame faster. Well, just to be clear, the way that you end this is like you'll have a character here. You just walk down to here and you're done. So being able to walk down there, very slightly faster is not really, it's already pretty much a straight line. What I'm trying to figure out is if you were to stay in the game part of the game, why do you have to move around? So like imagine you have to walk up to the treasure spirit to buy a treasure chest and then walk down to the treasure chest to open it. Those are reasons, but they're just not compelling. You walk up to here, you buy one, you walk down to here, you open it. You walk up to here, you buy one, you walk down to here, you open it. To restock. Yeah, so we could do something like that. Like you buy the key, like maybe there's a mini game just to get the chest to the stand so that you can open it. I don't think we need to do something like that. And it could be yeah, it practically has to be about moving items somewhere. There are thieves. And I don't want to add too many new mechanics. And I know that what we're talking about could potentially be a new mechanic. Well, I want to be something kind of reasonable enough here. I don't know what it would be exactly. What are the condition? The exit port. So, Seshamar, I think you're joining maybe partway through and might not have heard the point of this game, but yeah, it's in that today command there. This is a game that you should be able to leave pretty much immediately. And the idea is like, how long will people stay in a loot box game just because there are loot boxes? Walking is the bug. Walking reduces the you get an X key timer. Actually, that's a pretty interesting idea for a game. This is how breeding worked or not breeding. This is how, what was it? Daycare worked in Pokemon 1. Every step you took was like another experience point, right? Pokemon Daycare, Gen 1. I think it was based on walking. Yeah, here it was. 1 experience point for each step taken by the player, leveling up automatically as it reaches the necessary experience points. Yeah. So it'd be kind of interesting to tie some mechanic to walking in a game. Although I guess it's not necessarily fun to do that, is it? Like in Pokemon, you naturally walked to play the game. So then you come back to daycare and it'd be like, oh yeah, you got a couple of levels on your low level Pokemon. And we deleted all the moves you might have wanted. I think walking with some purpose would be the most interesting. And I think honestly, like this is probably where having multiple stands would be interesting. I'm still just not sure how exactly. So yeah, having to walk between the stands to open them could be something. But if you can only engage with one chest at a time, then that's not as interesting. You can only engage with one chest at a time. It's not very interesting to have to move between them. Hey, Buff. Nano transactions make a comeback. Yeah, insert 1 pico penny. Get a micro item of loot. I'm behind, sorry. If the player can exit minigame super fast, isn't that too risky from a Steam refund perspective? It's not each minigame, it's this minigame. So some you cannot exit without like beating the game. Some you can exit pretty quickly. But this one in particular, you could exit after like 3 seconds if you want. Now, with that said, I don't think most players will do that. I think most players will probably be like, oh, there's a game here and there are upgrades. So I'm going to get the upgrades and I'm going to get a bunch of loot and I'm going to watch my customers and whatever else. And at some point, they'll be like, all right, wait, what's my next goal? And that's when they might walk over to here and be like, oh, I could have just left at any time. It might frustrate people. Yeah. It might. I'm gonna need to do a lot of playtesting for this one. And I think this could be polarizing. But I still think it's fun. And I think it's a funny idea. So we okay, this is why I should just use bullet points here, I guess. We could give them a reason to have to move between them. I don't really think there'd be a compelling reason though for this. We'd be forcing something. My shortcut and secret room idea is doable in a different minigame. Yeah, potentially. I think each game needs to be designed sort of on its own, and the only thing we really need to consider across them is what have we done that's in common. So like we have 10 different sub games in here, and 9 of them involve like, oh, you can leave it early. It's like that's probably not very fun. But if 2 of them involve that, and then 2 of them are like, well, you need to beat the boss, and you need to find some trick to beat the boss, that could be fine. Yeah, maybe the movement isn't important, and this is what Jesta said. Just having the character is reason enough. So yeah. Maybe I am looking at this the wrong way. Maybe we should make it super convenient to keep opening loot boxes without even moving. Yeah. Like you have a treasure stand. You can buy a loot box. Maybe it's something. I mean, this is where we could do something that you could like set item prices on your items. You can go up to it, and then there are 2 buttons you can press. It's either like increase cost or decrease cost. That could potentially be a reason for you to do this. And in the process, realize that the screen scrolls slightly, maybe. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Maybe you set prices on the items. Walking near them lets you press A to increase the price and B to decrease the price. Maybe it always goes up in increments. Well, I don't know. Maybe there's just a meter that you control. Yeah, maybe it's just a meter. Walking near them lets you press A to change the price. Then you get some UI that lets you easily change it. It could even just be a like 4-digit display that starts at like 0001, which every item would sell for naturally. Okay, this could work. Yeah, this could work. In that, I like this. I like this a lot because I strongly dislike price setting in other games. I've kind of joked about this, but like Moonlighter is binary search the game, and it's just I don't think that's really fun to do. It's like you could just look up what the best prices are or something, or there's some memory game as part of it. And I get it, it was like a mini game as part of a bigger thing, but yeah, I don't think it adds a lot to a game. But in this one, since there's no real game to begin with, then this is just a distraction mechanic. Discord VoIP. just wondering if anyone actually uses that term anymore. Okay, I really like this. So you would have okay, so then let's think about this all together. You have maybe you have the treasure spirit, maybe not, but you have a perk board that you can walk to pick your perks, and you have some UI for this. And then you have the treasure spirit to buy a treasure chest, I guess. But you only really need 1 treasure chest at a time. In fact, maybe they're just right next to the thing. Like I can buy a treasure chest for the stand. So to sum up, what you can do with your character. Walk to a perk board to get upgrades. Walk to the treasure spirit to buy a chest. It goes on the stand next to them. You can go to the stand to unlock the chest, and then you can interact. Like, maybe it auto opens, or maybe you have to open it. It probably auto opens. Yeah, it probably auto opens after you unlock it. I don't think we need to do anything there, right? Yeah. And then walk to an item display to change the price for that item. Yeah. Using the Discord all the time? Oh, okay. Well, you also have 4 duplicate legendaries. I mean, most of us only have 1 or 2. But triples is best. Somewhere where you can do with your character. Yeah, so I think I like this. I think we need some indication then that customers don't want to buy your item. And it could just be that they're not selling. Yeah. It could be like, well, if your item is not... Well, I think customers should probably have some like emotion that shows up. We have the thought bubble, so we just need to draw like a happy face or an unhappy face. Well, no, we don't even need a happy face, right? It could just be... It could just be that they buy it when they're happy. Yeah. Okay, I think this can work. Okay, so there's a perk board that lets you get upgrades. There's a treasure spirit that lets you buy a chest. It opens up a dialogue like this. There's a treasure stand next to the spirit where you can unlock the chest. Oh, that's super broken. Well, I guess it's fine. And then what did I say? And then you can set the prices of items on item stands. So now there is not as much of a reason for you to it's not as much of a reason for us to allow you to get any item in the game because you'd have to set the price on all of them. So I don't know how many we have here exactly. Let's just say, I don't know, 150 or something like that. Yeah, setting 150 prices is probably too much. Also, this game is going to take at least 2 weeks to make with what I've talked about here. Still top 100. Wow. Too expensive versus nothing they want. No, I think we're just going to do a too expensive. That's it. So everyone will want all loot. And it's just a matter of did you price it right? Yeah. Yeah, I think this will be a fun game to make, though. Yeah. Now, I wonder, is the key acquisition game, like, is opening a treasure chest even interesting at that point? Should we take that out? Because this idea that I had of, like, you have these concentric circles that are spinning and you need to align this, like, notch with the top. And that dictates how much loot you get. Is that even needed anymore? Maybe you just open up a treasure chest and it's just about going and setting the price. Yeah, this is where we have to start thinking of pruning ideas. Do you have any concept of text that is half-baked or placeholders? If I'm understanding you correctly, this is kind of something like what we did for the Fever Dream game. There was text that wasn't supposed to be all that logical, like press jump to broccoli. This game we ended up cutting for now, but we might put this back in later on. But yeah, I didn't want to take this too far because we do need to still steer players. It's meant to tell you how to play, but instead it's just a placeholder. Yeah, there's some of that. But I think it was mostly in this game. Just do a roulette mini game with an exit button. That's kind of the intention. Yeah, but it should seem like a game. If it's just roulette, I think it's going to be too on the nose. So yeah, I think the loot box manifestation is important because of how prevalent loot boxes are in games. All right, so now that we've done this, so do we even need the lock picking mechanic? Like, is that fun? Does that add to the game? So if we have price setting, that may be enough to keep you interested. It may be needed to have a distraction from the price setting stuff, though. Because, like, I don't want to code this whole mini game and then find out we don't need it. I don't think it's going to be that hard to do this part, but to make it look nice and everything might be pretty difficult. So could we just cut it out? I mean, then you wouldn't even need keys. We could change it from I'll have to think about that. Hey Sinatra. Any sense in starting with just in game dev as a lazy game dev choice? What are we talking about here? Are you talking about a particular... I'm sure I've written the word just in a bunch of places, but is it a particular decision? Not yours, the chat roulette one? Oh. I don't fully agree. I think that you need to distill certain game mechanics into their simplest idea while still getting the same fun level across. Like, imagine you have a crafting system where, I don't know, and I know that some games have probably done this, but you have to make an axe. And they're actually like, okay, go cut down the tree in the right shape and then go like smelt iron ore in the right quantity. You'd be like, all right, this is the level that most people don't want to do. And then like, you know, mold it to the right shape that you need. Otherwise the axe is too heavy and you fall backwards as you use it. You'd be like, all right, we need to probably simplify this. So like, oh, shouldn't we just have, oh, you combine wood and metal and you get an axe. So yeah, I think sometimes it is just, it's like, how do we simplify? How do we carve from this block of marble the smallest change we need? So the lockpicking thing would distract you a bit from setting item prices. I mean, at that point, I guess we do need the loot boxes still, because that's going to be your source of items. You know, the other thing we could do, actually, this is not a bad idea. We could just have... man, I'm thinking of... no, this is probably too much. Paper Mario, what was it called? Origami King. The battle system had this ring system here. Yeah, is there a good picture of this? I guess this is decent. So, where's the picture here? Is this showing? It's showing well enough. I'll shrink it a little bit. So they had these concentric rings, and you could pick any of the circles or any individual slice, I think, and you could either rotate a circle or you could like send the slice backward or forward. So this darkened yellow section could be brought forward up to here or back up to there. So any characters that were on them, you try to line up or get into a circle. I forgot what kinds of attacks you had. And that way you can do damage to all of them at once. So there was kind of a puzzle to like, okay, if I have this arrangement, I have 20 seconds to think, how do I get them into a line? And in this case, it's like, okay, well, you could rotate this inner circle and you get 4 Goombas in a line and you hit them all. There could be something like that with keys. Not maybe that complicated. But maybe there are keys in a line and you have to... Or I don't know. Yeah, it's something for getting keys. I don't know if it's needed. That's what I'm wondering about here. Okay, I see what you're saying, Sandra. At least I think so. Yeah, I think it's a judgment call. Sometimes you want to simplify things, and sometimes you want to expand something. You find it the way the vendor gets his merchandise is they have a separate loot box supplier, so they sell things for money, key, loot box, and then fill the boxes. Is loot boxes all the way up? You're filling your loot boxes with like, or they're packaging the loot boxes just in time for you. Yeah, I am just debating about this key thing. That's all. So if we didn't have it, what would this look like? We didn't have a need to open, or like if the chest you bought automatically opened without a mini game, then your interactions are just about picking upgrades and setting prices. And I think the question of is that enough is maybe too hard to answer on paper. Maybe we need to have it play out. So maybe I do code the mini game in. I'm just trying to envision what it'd be like. If you're setting prices in a game, that means you need to pay attention to are customers happy or not. If you're playing some lock-picking mini game while customers are passing up your items, you might be like, well, I wasn't paying attention. So now you take a break from the lock-picking game to go watch the customers, and you're like, oh, the price is not correct. Let's set it higher. Also, if your first loot box gives you enough money, or if the starting loot box costs like 1 diamond, it would be fine, I guess. You go around town and post up flyers, advertise your new loot boxes. There is a plan in Skeleseller to have advertisements at some point in the game, like diegetic advertisements that would bring more customers to your town. We ended up scrapping that. But yeah, in this case, I don't think we would need that. I think having the portal is probably enough, and then customers just enter your town. All right, you can set prices of items on item stands. This is probably done via a 4-digit display that remembers the price you last set. Maybe you would actually be changing all prices at once. And if we're doing that, 4 digits might be too much almost, because like we need to render 4 digits next to each of these. Maybe the price only shows up when you're hovering next to it or something. No, you'd have to tell what it sold for. Maybe you don't see it though until you go near it. Yeah, actually that's kind of interesting. Maybe you don't see the price until you move near the item stand. Or maybe we just find a way to fit 4 digits above each stand. It's fast enough so you can return to customers in time, then it'd actually be fun to lockpick from time to time. Yeah, the way I was picturing this is like you need to do this to open the chest. Now that I think about it though, I think so lockpicking was supposed to be a way to change how good the loot is inside the chest. But price setting is vaguely similar in that you're determining how much money you get from the loot that did pop out. So in both cases, how do I maximize my income? And in that way, they overlap. In terms of maximizing your income, they overlap. And that's okay. I think a lot of incremental games work this way, where it's, I wouldn't call it quite parasitic design, but where there's kind of one mechanic, acquiring currency, and everything feeds into that mechanic of acquiring currency. So even in Skeleseller, it's like, well, why do you upgrade your town at all? Why make customers move faster? It's like, so I can get money faster. And okay, why am I getting money faster? Well, so I can upgrade my town so I can get further in the game, etc. Yeah. Anyway, the short story is I'm thinking of scrapping it. So I think, yeah, I'm thinking of scrapping it. I guess we can add it in afterward if we want to. So you would buy a chest and then go and open it, and then loot would pop out. You would then go set prices. And then wait for customers to buy this stuff. I think you would want something to do while you're waiting, though. Man, I don't know. The other thing we could do is instead of, we could have it be the Skeleseller system here where it starts with time here. And every time you, whatever, press a button next to this, it lowers by like a minute. And then you can eventually get keys that can lower it for you automatically. So there's no mini game around it exactly. It's like a micro game. You just press a button. The original way that this worked in Skeleseller, you would get keys, and the different keys, let me switch it to this. Yeah, so the different keys that you get would do different things. We had a like a almost like a Balatro style system where there would be a multiplier key, a quantity key, and some other things that were like item types. So at any given time, you'd have an X, like a Y times Z system here, where Y is your multiplier and Z is your quantity. So if you had chests that were at like 2x3 and 3x2, and you got a quantity key, it's like, okay, well, which chest do I put this in to get more? So this would end up giving you 8 if you put it in here, but this one would end up giving you 9. It's like, all right, you had to do a little bit of thinking about it. It didn't work in Skeleseller because your skeletons will automatically take keys from you and then go use them. But if you were manually doing it, it would be, semi-interesting. It's not like a super engaging system. It's pick which one causes the multiplication to result in a higher number. And at some point, you wouldn't care if loot boxes are infinite here. I think it's another problem with the lockpicking game. Problem with the lockpicking game is that loot is infinite. So this is a speed bump for each chest that you open. And if you realize that chests don't actually take your money, then you wouldn't care about the quality of the loot unless it was a major multiplier difference. Yeah, I think we scrap that. We stick with just the price setting. So then why even have you buy treasure chests in the first place? I mean, this has to be about opening loot boxes, right? Otherwise, the social commentary part is gone. Yeah, it has to be about opening lots of them, I think. Where you do a sort of quick pre-mini game so that the value inside the loot box is set depending on it. Like, what if you set the price before the loot is popped out? So, yeah, I'm not sure if you'd heard, but that's kind of like what this idea was supposed to be. Oh, I deleted it, didn't I? Yeah, this thing with the concentric circles, like you would get a key based on how well you did this mini game, and that would change which loot you got out of the chest. So if you play this game perfectly, you'd get, 100 items instead of 50 items. Or it'd give you one really valuable item, I guess. But yeah, I don't think that's necessary. Okay, so here's what I'm leaning toward dropping the key mini game. I do still want you to open tons of loot boxes. I think that having multiple treasure stands would be good for that. What if that was just the lock itself? Essentially, I think that's what it would have been. It's just a slightly strange manifestation of it, but it was like some way of you getting to the treasure chest and the loot. There's a time issue with that idea, not quick enough. Faster pre-mini game would be fine, I believe. Yeah, I guess if we simplified it down to the megaton punch thing where it's just literally just a meter and you just stop it at the right time. Maybe we go back to that. That could potentially be fine. Yeah. We could change it back to just press A when the meter is filled. And you get better loot the closer to maxed it is. I think that's okay. Yeah. And the way we could do this so that moving matters or whatever, like, sorry, this is so hard to draw out because I'm not actually putting this in the game. But imagine you have, well, let's not imagine. Let's actually just go put some more chests in. Okay. So no more imagining. You have these and they're ready to be opened, but there is a meter next to all of them. So I'm going to draw this. No, I'm going to not draw this stupidly. Let's just draw it like this. All right. And these would be filled in. So this one might be like here. And this one might be closer to, whoops, closer to the end. And this one might not be filled like at all. So this one's ready to be opened. And this bar fills and unfills over the course of maybe like 6 seconds. So you have to plan your path between these such that you're getting them when they're close to being filled. And that maximizes the loot you get out of them. That could potentially work. This also wouldn't involve you going to a different screen. Yeah, I can save this. Maybe you just see meters fill next to the chest, fill / unfill next to the chest over the course of say 5 to 10 seconds. You need to open them when they're close to full, or maybe you can only open them when they're at full. So they go from being like locked to unlocked. That doesn't make any sense, but just like we could figure out a way to explain that. I don't think that's good though, because then you're just mashing the button when you get close to them. Yeah, you need to open them, not when they're close to full. You can open them at any time, but the meter represents how much loot you'll get as a percentage, or like close enough. Full is 100%, empty is 0%. So you see like one item pop out of this thing when it's, close to empty. You see 5 items pop out when it's close to full. And I think that would give you that feedback and it would feel good. Like, oh, okay, I'm getting more loot when I open them when they're closer to full. Yeah. I think we should probably try this. It's simple enough to understand. And the other thing, by the way, given that the game is called Stuck in a Broken Tutorial, like we can always have a literal tutorial there saying like, open the chest when the meter is close to full. And it could be like sparkling and rainbowy and whatever else, and make it very appealing to open it then. And we could even like force you to do it, whatever. That's the nice thing about this particular game is at any point we need to just literally tell you something we could, and it's very in-world. Yeah. Hey, Froggy, loot boxes are banned. Loot boxes are banned if you pay for them, right? Is there any stipulation? Because as far as I know, there's no country that's banned the idea of like, you bought a game for $5, there's no future payments, and the game happens to contain randomly dropped items. Because if so, I think that would like prevent, Diablo 2 from being sold, or Path of Exile. Maybe a perfect spot in the meter too. Good old perfect spot and meter solution. I was thinking the perfect spot would just always be the top to make it the clearest. I guess it could be at an arbitrary point. I guess we could write that down. Like the perfect spot in the meter doesn't have to be the most filled spot. Yeah, I think it's just for paid loot boxes. Hey, Scributico. Should I have real loot box where you pay to win? I think it'd be funny to do a game like that where there's just a mini game where you can buy loot boxes and it makes more than the game sales made somehow. And invalidate all roguelikes. Yeah, I guess it would. Hey, Tobias. Also, who was talking to me about, I think it was Tobias. I don't remember. Someone was talking about Scrubs. Well, anyway, I watched one episode of the new Scrubs with my wife and we both really liked it. And someone said give it a couple of episodes. I thought even the first episode was good. Like, we're going to keep watching some more of it. Oh, so CS2? Yeah, I guess so. Although, yeah, I guess so. That's true. That wasn't you, yeah. Oh, yeah, Chronofish. Hey, Chronofish. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'm intrigued to watch more. Has any other show ever done this though, where they've gone like 25 years in between iterations and they got practically all the same actors? Because I think it's pretty impressive. And they really captured the spirit of the original while like updating it to modern times. So, yeah, I'm happy with it. I don't know if it'll stay good. Who knows? But I want to watch the second one. Malcolm in the Middle. Wait, what? They had a they like remade it? No, they didn't. Oh wait, Life's Still Unfair. I didn't hear about this. Number of episodes 4. Oh, it's still coming out? Where is released in its entirety? What? Is this a miniseries? Oh yeah, it's a miniseries. Okay. Oh, interesting. Oh, I should probably check this out too. Yeah, I'll write that down. Has anyone seen it? Is it good? Check this out. I didn't know this existed. I think go down. Next gen Picard is pretty far. Okay, yeah, I guess it has happened before, but it's probably pretty rare. I wonder if it'll be more common now. Because I was just thinking, what are the odds that like all the actors wanted to be part of this and still wanted to do this? From the behind the scenes, the original filming location is gone, so they rebuilt it. Okay, I'll write it down. That I don't know if I'd get to. All right, so let's copy this here. So this thing about difficulty. Oh, actually, I guess the difficulty could change, right? So the wooden chest could just fill like very slowly, and the silver chest could be like the mini game playing out, and you got to like pay attention to it. I don't know how difficult we could get with it, but yeah. Anyway, we'll figure that out. Oh yeah, X Files too, right? I hadn't seen Twin Peaks. All right, so loot flies from the chest item stands, upgrades, key acquisition mini game. So this is no longer the case. So opening chests as a like a micro game of stop the meter at when it's filled to determine how much loot is inside. The higher tier chests fill the or like the higher tier chests have the meter filled less of the time and less predictably. So, for example, the wooden chest would how do I say this? Would be like this. I don't know, like 0 seconds empty, 1 second 50% filled, 2 seconds, I don't know, 100% filled, or like 0.5 seconds, and then 2 seconds 50% filled, and 2.5 seconds 0% filled. This is really stupid. Whatever. The point is like it would go really fast up and then stay there and then drop back down. Probably better just draw it as a graph, huh? So time and fill. So it'd like jump immediately up to here and then stay there for a while and then jump back down and then jump immediately back up and then stay there and then jump immediately back up. So something like that. But the highest tier chest may work like this. So the highest one would stay at the bottom for most of the time and then spike up really quickly and then spike back down. So it'd basically be the opposite of that. Whoops. That was supposed to be a giant screenshot. I meant to trim it. Next cash grabs. Yeah, I think every media creator will always probably play on nostalgia to some extent and just kind of proven IPs. With that said, also every piece of media could be a cash grab versus a thoughtful product or anywhere in between. I feel like I was interested in Harry Potter and then there was the Fantastic Beasts series and I just didn't care about it. I think the movies have done well, so I don't think I'm I don't think I'm like representative of the whole population. It's not like they were poorly received. How many of these are there? One, two, three, four, maybe five of them. And the ratings are like 6.2 to 7.2. So like they're not fantastic movies apparently, but they seem to have done well enough. All right, so this is done. So we don't use keys at all. In fact, keys could be just an item that gets sold. We probably shouldn't put them in at all. Yeah, you should probably just sell like weapons and boots and stuff and potions. All right, I think we've got a game design for this. And I'm actually glad we spent the amount of time we did. So let's read through this again and just make sure everything fits and makes sense and there's nothing wacky going on here. So we use Skeleseller graphics. This is, in my mind now, a set thing. Like, I don't think this is really important that it changes. So we got treasure chests. We've got loot opening animations. We've got the actual loot flying to the stalls. We've got the item stalls themselves. We got customers walking around, that sort of thing. Okay, great. All that's fine. So you get some currency to buy chests, but buying a chest doesn't actually take the currency. You just need the minimum. This is how the game is broken. So buying a loot box should still show this, but you don't actually remove the money. Could be gold, not diamonds, doesn't really matter. You control a character. Character can be one of the Skeleseller ones like the cleric. There's a perk board that lets you get upgrades. There's a treasure spirit that lets you buy a chest. There's a treasure stand next to the spirit where you can unlock the chest. No, so now there are multiple treasure stands, right? Yeah. There are multiple treasure stands that each have visible meters. So this is, I guess once you get the highest cost chests, this is probably less interesting to buy multiple because most of the time they're not going to be filled up. But maybe you have so much money or you realize that the loot doesn't really matter that you just open them anyway. Yeah, I think it's fine. You can set the prices of items on item stands. It's probably done via a 4-digit display that remembers the last price you set. And yeah, maybe the prices for more valuable items starts out higher. We could just randomly pick a number up to 50% of the value of the item. That way they always sell and you don't have to set the prices. But if setting the prices is the point of the game, I don't know. We'll figure that out. So I think just writing down an idea is fine. It's not prescriptive. Loot flies from the chest to the item stands. Customers buy from the stands. Each item has a gold value. Loot flying around and landing on stands makes it resemble Skeleseller more. It gives you another upgrade. Oh, you know what else we can do as an idea? The Skeleseller skeleton can be a rare customer. Yeah. That'd be kind of cool, right? Yeah. So first upgrade is a portal that spawns off screen that lets you get customers in your town. So I just got to figure out the beginning of the game, I think. Need to figure out. So it's still to do. Figure out the beginning of the game. Do you start with loot, a chest, enough money for an upgrade? Can you soft lock yourself? You shouldn't be able to. And what was the other thing that I had here? There was something that just popped up. Oh, I should have said it. Oh no, what was it? Help me, brain. Uh, I don't know what it was. Oh, it was something minor. It was move this stuff to the main design document tab. Yeah, well, that's why. Okay, yeah, so figuring out the beginning of the game. Anything else here, though? Upgrades. At any point you can walk through the portal. Opening chest has a micro game. Or is a micro game. Yeah, all right, I like all this. So yeah, figuring out the beginning of the game. So let's just use some random costs that we have here. So let's say it's 10 diamonds is buy a chest, and 5 would be to get the portal to have customers show up. So we start you with, I don't know, 15 diamonds. Oh, actually, that'd be perfect, right? this is the easiest. All right. Yep, problem solved. So there's no way to soft lock yourself because you will always have enough money to do both, and you can't spend your money. Yeah, and you start with 1 treasure chest. Okay, perfect. Yeah. All right, we start you with 15 diamonds and have a chest cost 10 and the portal cost 5. Hey, Cakes. Hey, Super Cool. And now, welcome everyone. Howdy. Thanks for the raid. We have been planning a loot box sub game for Stuck in a Broken Tutorial that I am very excited about. It'll probably take a couple weeks to make, but the idea is there's a game that has you open loot boxes that has no purpose to the loot boxes, and at any point you can leave, but we don't tell you that you can leave. We make you think it's a game. So I think this might frustrate some people, but yeah, this is all part of, not this game. This is Skeletor. Where's the game? This is all part of Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. Did Cake start his new game? Uh-oh. This shouldn't have been checked in. Okay, hold on a sec. I gotta write this down. There's our Monday list. Yeah, so I accidentally checked in the color picker in the platformer game. Yeah, so this is the start of Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. Ignore the color pickers, although you will be able to choose the color of your character and everything, so this is gonna be pretty cool. So yeah, we've got these in the game now. We can go customize this character. Not that it matters because I only did this for 1 animation. You can make them have green skin and pink eyes. There, great. So yeah, as soon as you move, my controller not working? Oh, there we go. Yeah, as soon as you move, it's gonna delete all the colors. But yeah, so this is the game I'm working on. This is the first sub game of Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. It keeps popping up the color picker because that's not supposed to be there. So, but yeah, it looks like just a regular game. And you work your way through here, and you eventually get to some very broken parts of this, and you work your way into other games. The newest one that we worked on is this third one, the top-down shooter. This is not totally finished yet, but this is a game where you go around shooting monsters, collecting power-ups. And this game says when you die, speed this up. When you die, it says you died, you don't keep your upgrades. Here are some for free to get you going again. But this is an outright lie. You do keep your upgrades. So every time you die and play again, it's just like a typical roguelike game. Or roguelike game, I guess. So now if we were to die again, I think it says something else. Yeah, try holding R to shoot without moving. That doesn't even work. But yeah, now we get more and more upgrades. So at some point, you'll become so powerful that there's almost no way for you to lose. And you'll work your way through the rest of this dungeon. And you'll fight other enemies and stuff. You'll eventually make it over to a boss room where this boss will kill you your first time through the game. And it just summons summoners that will just keep piling up and trying to kill you. And it's not until you have enough upgrades that you can kill even the summons. And by killing them, you get more upgrades. So yeah, eventually you will win this game. And then from here, you'll go into this loot box game that I was talking about. So I'm very excited about that. There was no end. It kept generating questions. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is good because it's in the context of a game. Like the IQ test sort of thing is you thinking that you're in it for something else, but you never get to something else. At least this is you're getting entertainment even out of this game that you don't have to play. Emphasize the brokenness of the tutorial. Not quite. Yeah, so is anyone still here from Cakes' stream? Did Cake start the new game? I am curious about that. Because I remember he was talking about it at one point, and I did not I mean, this was a couple weeks ago. He mentioned what it was going to be like, but I had never played the game it was supposed to be like, so I didn't know what his game was supposed to be like. Anyway, I started working on the music for this particular sub game on Thursday, and I am looking forward to finishing that. So we've been working on some pretty fun stuff lately. Yeah. All right, so now I should be able to finally beat this boss. Yeah, in fact, if I just stand here, I think all the summons will just die. But you can see him dropping power-ups now too. So if I did want to go and just destroy those, we'd get a lot stronger. Yeah, I'm taking hardly any damage. I should probably increase the luck faster. I still need to do some balancing on this game. But yeah, I could just stand here and not die. My life is ticking down. It's just ticking down too slowly for it to actually matter. And the boss should do more damage to me, right? I can't even see my life bar. Nice. Now we kill all of these guys. And then no more will spawn. And we did not die. All right, let's turn this off. There we go. All right, so we figured out the beginning of this. Yeah, this is the way. There's no way to soft lock yourself. No way to soft lock yourself. You will get loot and you will have enough to get customers. Although then we have a problem. Like if the first chest costs 10 and you don't get at least 10 items out of it, then we have an issue, right? So we need the first chest to cost like 2 and for the portal upgrade to cost 1. Why not allow players to soft lock and bring them back and scold them? Well, so to bring them back, like a soft lock is something that you have no way out. Like a hard lock is it freezes the game, right? A soft lock is like, hey, I need 5 rupees to continue and you can't collect rupees anymore. And it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I can walk around the world, but there's just no way to get money again. So yeah, you need some way of being like, oh, the game was buggy in this way. Now, given that this game is called Stuck in a Broken Tutorial, you might see that happen to you and be like, oh, this is expected. Like I'm supposed to be in this state. So this is a very rare case of a game that if we ever do have a bug, people won't know if it's really a bug. You can detect it and have the narrator tell you too bad, you need to be careful. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, like I detect it. But in that case, if the soft lock isn't core to the game, that I don't think we should let people get into that state. So like being core to the game, we could have almost like a constraints problem. Imagine some like, I don't know, just as a simple example, a Towers of Hanoi kind of game where, where you can only do so many moves. And if you don't do it in the right number of moves, you just lose. And then we're like, oh, well, you didn't do this, so you failed. Okay, let me just go to this page. Yeah, here. So like, I don't know how many moves it takes to beat this, but yeah, let's say we only gave you exactly enough. So that could be core to the game and it could be more fun. Otherwise, I think it's like, the player is just like, oh, this is like Mr. Rossetti. So the only cost that would actually make sense here, we start you with 3. Chest costs 2 and the portal costs 1. No way to soft lock yourself since you'll get at least 2 items from the starter chest. And they'll sell for 1G each or 1 diamond each. At least 1. Okay, and then yeah, we just need to make sure that you do get at least 2 items out of a chest when you have no diamonds. Or we force customers to buy your item above its cost. Yeah. We need some like soft lock prevention. That's it. And yeah. Yeah. Actually, I get. Do we really? There's no way to soft lock yourself in this game. What am I talking about? You can always just leave through the portal. Okay, so yeah, you only start with one treasure stand. That's pretty important. You only start with one stand, though. Yeah, but that ruins the fun of the game. Especially if it's something as simple as like, whoops, I bought 2 treasure chests and now I have no way of getting customers, so I'll just leave. That would actually be impossible. But yeah, the idea is still there. So we've answered that, and we just need to move this to the design document. All right, this has been pretty solid. I am quite happy with this. I'm looking forward to getting started on it. Let me write this down. Loot boxes. So we've answered this. We've answered this. I'll go through it again really fast, but this is like the design. All right, so how exactly do you leave the game? I'm concerned that people may expect to be able to use their loot and accidentally discover they can leave at any time. Maybe there's a close button. So we've answered all this stuff. But I had some ideas here. What is this? Upon cleaning the exit asks, are you sure you want to temporarily stop opening loot boxes? If you continue now, we'll give you 5 loot boxes for free. Don't not quit. Do stop not opening loot boxes. So we could do something like this when you try entering the portal. We'd be like, are you sure you want to do this? You will leave the game. Yeah, I kind of like that idea. Maybe upon trying to enter the portal, it asks, are you sure you want to temporarily stop opening loot boxes? Yep. All right, so we can delete all this now. How do we nudge people to leave the game? I'm a bit concerned that they'll think the loot boxes are important and get a little too absorbed. Maybe, so there are a couple ways we could do this. We could have like a final upgrade. Where did my scratch pad go? Here it is. Okay, more questions. So we could have a final upgrade called Secret that costs like 50k diamonds. And it literally just says, why did you get so much loot? Like, did you ever stop to think about how many trees needed to be cut down for those axes you made? Or whatever. We like guilt the player basically, and then say like walk through the portal to leave. I think that's kind of interesting. Do we have any icon that we already made for Skeleseller that would work for that? It could be this. It's got a portal on it. Yeah. Hey, Nicholas. How's game launch been? Haven't been on Twitch in a while. I think it was good. Yeah. I moved on pretty rapidly from Skeleseller. Like the only I spent I think another like 2 or 3 days working on it, and then I added Japanese support and then have not touched it since. So yeah, we moved on to a game called Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. I've got the command for that here. And it's been, I think, about 3 months now at this point. When did I start this? March 30th. Okay, yeah, it's been almost 3 months. It's been good. The biggest kind of issue with this game is that almost none of it is reusable. So it is a collection of sub games. Get my controller. Collection of sub games, and each sub game is its own pretty much standalone game, but you just never come back to it, and there's no like you don't need to do anything else here. So here's this platformer game. Like we have mechanics for jumping, we have a bunch of animations, we have a dash animation, we've got like a fully fledged little platformer here. And yeah, obviously it'd be missing a ton of content, but you go from this into a farming game. And you go from this into a top-down shooter, and then into this loot box game, and then into whatever else, however many games we end up doing. And like all of these need mechanics and graphics, and like yeah, you can dig up the land over here, and you can plant seeds, and you can water them, and you can like navigate between little zones here. You can go into your house. There are characters you can talk to. There are other mechanics like you can chop down strawberries and stuff. That all takes time, and like we're not using that again. You're not coming back to this game. This is just a one-off, 3 weeks or 4 weeks of effort to do this for the player to have 5 minutes of fun in the game. So I think it'd be an interesting experience. And yeah, in the top-down shooter game, like this is supposed to be the first mechanically fun game. You're moving, you're shooting, you're trying to dodge these monsters that are here, getting upgrades. And we got some pretty cool music in the works for this. There actually are sound effects for this. I just don't have them playing right now. Yeah. The whole game sounds a lot better, or feels a lot better when there are sounds. Nice. Okay. I am pretty happy with this. Is there anything else I still have to do here? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think a final upgrade is like a reward for having done this. And that's how you get out of the game. The final most expensive upgrade is just labeled secret. We make it clear that the player could have left at any time. And maybe guilt them. Were you so focused on getting items that you never thought about the repercussions? And then list some repercussions. E.g., like customer X went broke buying axes for no reason, and customer Y bought a questionable potion from you that I don't know. Yeah. All right. What other things do we have here that we have to answer? Did I write that in the wrong spot? No, I did not. Where's the questions list? Oh, there it is. Do we need to hook players into wanting the loot at first? Like we steer them in the wrong direction? No, I don't think we need to do that anymore. Games later, just an inventory screen and a way to keep opening this. There's no end to the loot of the loot boxes. Yeah. Yeah, so this changed quite a lot from the original idea that I had. I think I like this. I like the idea. I think it's gonna be fun to make, but I don't think we can keep doing this with all these sub games. It can't be some like 3 week long effort. The original idea for this was it's just a screen with some items and you just open loot boxes. And I think that's the level of complexity to develop that I should have aimed for. And I think we're running into dangerous territory here because if I set a precedent for like every game is going to be polished and take like 3 weeks to make, and it provides, 5 or 10 minutes of gameplay, then it's going to take a very long time to get a meaningful game. Yeah. All right, I got to get lunch. Yeah. All right, so let's write this down. Did the game design for the loot box game. Started working on it in the afternoon. We actually haven't started working on it. In fact, you know what? I wonder if I should give this thing a... Oh, what's going on here? I wonder if I should have this, like, go make a new sub game called Loot Boxes. What is this doing? Nothing. Yeah, let's kick this off right now. So we'll go check out a different branch. Get checkout -B Loot Boxes. Yeah. All right, sub game ID. Check out these loot boxes. So we have 4 sub game IDs right now. C sub game ID. Oops, what just happened? Add one called. Oh my God, I hate when I do that. Oh man. All right, what is going on right now? Why can't I copy this there? All right, add one called loot boxes and set up the boilerplate around a new sub game. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to do that. And now I'm gonna go and get lunch. It is 11:40, so yeah, pretty close to lunchtime. I'll be back in about an hour, maybe sooner, I don't know. And we'll spend, so here's the plan. We'll spend probably like 2 to 3 hours coding and just kind of making the game today. Tomorrow, I think, is going to be no stream. I'll just make YouTube videos, well, video or videos. And then Wednesday will be back to work on this game. And then I think Thursday will be music again. So we'll flesh out the music for the top-down platformer or top-down shooter. And then, yeah, Friday, maybe back to work on this. So that's an overall plan that I have for this. I'm sorry for the stream disruption tomorrow, but I'll be back in about an hour. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for watching. If you ever want to join Discord, there's a link. And I will see you later.